practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden thoughts.
This is a special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimedia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.
Welcome to another edition of the Adam Dunn Show. I'm your host, Adam Dunn. And sitting next to me with his brand new Carta, he hasn't broken it yet. I don't know how he hasn't done it. Is Dave?
The show is
the
just
guy
starting.
the guy you love to hate on the show.
Hello.
It's okay. We love that people love to hate us too.
Yep.
And that's pretty much what this show is going to be. It's going to be a whole bunch of loving to hate because we're talking about the big daddy, the big one, the big show. Finally, we got the bro fucking show going down today.
Yeah, man.
He's going to be joining us, but it's not going to be for a little bit. We're gonna ease into that. I can't go straight into because there's so much shit going down. I figure we kind of last week we just went straight into it, and we even went overtime. And so
It was like 3.5 hours last week.
it was sick. It was 3.5 hours. But and also, yes, we're not on time. We have only fucking 5 minutes.
4 minutes, yeah.
4 minutes. Come on, that is on time. 4 minutes.
I sit here and
From
I
now
say,
on
guys,
is
come on, we have to get in on time. And the general consensus in the room is we can't start on time because then everyone will expect that.
Yeah, exactly. No, that is obvious. And also on top of that, nobody's going to be ready for us because they're all going to be like, he's late. Of course he's late. I'm still in the garden. Fucking
Load
taking
up
care
a
of
dab.
And we got the Earl Electric sort of halfway here. It's like, it's going. I got to figure it out. I got to dial it in. See, I think it dropped on me a little bit there.
I think it's all right.
No, but the bottom dropped on it. So we are, thanks to, tell us a little about our sponsors
Thanks
here.
to the Breckenridge Organic Therapy, guys. We have a really beautiful little place to do the show today.
You guys made it happen.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
By somebody calling in. We're not exactly sure how many or what. We haven't got the official numbers. But
It's not enough.
Never
More of you guys need to call in. If you're listening right now, pick the phone up, call them up, say you heard about it here.
right now, live.
Yeah.
But in general, there's never enough. We know that. That's a guarantee. But but just having anybody call made it possible for them to come and bring us in all sorts of jars to
look at
smoke.
this shit.
Come on, look, we got things to do here. We got work.
And apologies to everybody watching the video right now. Our makeup person didn't come in tonight, so my forehead didn't get
It's just still
any
shiny.
powder
Shiny.
applied.
He's
So if
shiny.
it's shining back at you like the sun,
You got to get Adam to buy you
You
some
know.
powder for your head.
do we have that in the budget?
Yeah, I'm sure we can.
No, we don't.
Oh, what?
We definitely don't have that in the
I require a lot of powder. I mean, I could wear a hat.
We definitely don't have that.
No. But also, 14er stoked us with some killer concentrates.
And they gave us a location too.
Yeah, man.
We're even in a real place now. We're not in a garage again. We're back out of the garage. We're out of the garage in a normal place, but it's a little too normal because right now we're in the middle of a bunch of other people that are not partaking. So it's a little interesting to watch.
They're in the general industry. Some are doing CBD things. Some are doing some other stuff,
but
some
nobody's smoking
incubation
nothing.
work. But
No one's smoking.
But no, they're giving us that. Are those guys really gonna light up in there?
But now I can puff out, right?
Yeah.
It's time.
I mean, it's after 420, so I think it's expected. So you have to puff now.
We
So
have to.
I got the 14er up right now.
Nice.
Thank you, guys.
Nice. Thank you.
So they hit us up with
Show the things they got. They got all sorts of shit.
So this is their new spin-off. It's 14er Manufacturing, and they are doing some serious cutting-edge work with live rosin. I don't know what camera that is on.
You can point it at that one, and I'll get you over there.
And so they're doing some serious cutting-edge work with live rosin, and it is fire. I mean, absolute fire. Dabs amazing, clean, and for those of you out there that are worried about inhaling a solvent, butane, something that might not have been purged correctly, this is your solution. So 14 Holistics, it's right across the street from the YMCA on Mapleton.
Do
in
the YMCA.
Boulder.
Do the YMCA. Show them.
YMCA. Yeah, huh? Huh? Am I showing my
Not
age?
just a pretty face.
No, oh, definitely not.
Triple threat. Triple threat in the house.
And the Breckenridge Organic Therapy guys brought us some of their solvent from their 710 labs. And I gotta say, check this packaging out.
Amazing.
It opens up like a little ring jar.
It's very nice. Well, check out this packaging.
Let's see it.
Check out this.
What is that?
This is this is the another thing we got from one of our sponsors,
Green
from Green
Farms Co.
They brought me some live rosin. Speaking of live rosin, this shit is look at the side here.
It's like 97% terpenes.
20.77% terpenes. That's pretty fucking high. And the interesting part about it is it's 32-point-something% THC and 35.1% CBD. So it's like a fucking all over the place, covering every spectrum. It's got some CBG in it. It's got a ton of fucking myrcene, 8% myrcene, straight off the gate. That's nuts. And it's like I said, 20.7%.
Oh, it's got a different consistency here. It's like
very nice.
I want to say it's like, I don't know if you can see it.
It's almost like a distillate vibe, almost.
Yeah.
It's almost like a distillate vibe, but it's very clean. Thing about that though is it's so hard and sappy that like it's really hard to get the last bit out of it. I'm like, motherfucker, if I was paying top dollar like these people, I look at the price and I'm like, ugh. You'd sit there and try to figure out how to get that last bit out for forever. Oh, so
I'm glad we don't have to pay full price for things, so that's pretty fucking cool, right?
So once we put this show up, I think we had more response than ever before. Well, no, maybe not ever, but close to it.
Last week?
Struck a nerve. Well, that's the thing, No, that is really small. So look at the size of the font now. It's like,
oh, come on.
Well, it's yeah.
Are you going through everything now?
No, I have a problem because
Because
you guys are zoomed in over there. It's zoomed in on here. So whenever I need to see something on it, I have to unzoom it. But
okay,
we should be good.
I get you. You don't have to zoom that big. It's like a little overkill right now.
Can you not zoom in on me? I mean, I look fat that way. Come on, guys.
We're good.
So I guess we're in the theme of the year so far. For the first 3 shows, it's been origin shows. And of course, these strike the deepest nerve and get the most fucking reaction out of people. And some people are never going to accept it if it's. And at the same time, we're also, we're fluid on these things because we're learning as the shows go. Now, one thing I loved on the Catpiss episode, which if you go back and listen to it, sorry, not on the Catpiss, on the Crippy episode, is the fact that the circle was closed there. And the whole Alec Anderson part of the story, because on the other show, when you listen to it and we talk to Alec, he kind of like leaves us on a dead end because he bought it off a lover of water. Sorry, caught myself on that one.
Yeah, don't say anything about water sports.
Water walker,
Yeah.
water walker. Exactly. Anyway, he bought because we knew that he got the bud from that guy, but we didn't know who that guy was. And then
Now we know.
If you listen to the show, I don't know what the mark was on it, but the fact that, and I even missed it when it was going down because there was 6 people talking to this, because we were just going off. And that's really what I think these shows are kind of about. It's like a lot of our memories, no matter how you look at it, if you smoke a lot of weed, which our guest definitely smokes a lot of weed, but if you do, things are going to be a little bit cloudy at some point. I mean, you're going to not remember details or remember them in your own way because that's how fucking people do,
Well, when you're talking about genetics that people grew up with, you're really talking about what they, how they formulated their early smoking memories.
Well,
and you tell them something that they didn't accept back then that changes that perception, it strikes a nerve.
Well, it's also the fact that, what I've noticed with most of the stories is the most, I wouldn't say boring, but the most like, oh, well, that makes sense because it's so simple. It's like, that's why you named that, or that's why that, it's like, it's not as dramatically exciting as what people can put in their mind sometimes. So, we'll get more into the sour story, but like that's a classic one because the word sour is, if you don't know what you're talking about, if I say to you sour, right, and you're not a weed person, you're like, oh, sour like the flavor. So everyone goes for that. We've pretty much figured out that wasn't the main reason it was called that. But and we'll get into all those details later. But so the Catpiss, what are you doing? You're kicking cameras
I kicked
now?
the camera.
Jesus Christ.
I did that. That's my fault.
Look at me. I got shine.
No way. Look at that.
Oh, you got a little shine.
I did that? Did I do that?
Oh, I'm kidding. I got a third eye. Third eye's open.
Oh, that's great, man.
Here, I'll fix you.
Third
Look,
eye is open.
It's funny because I keep having to chase the sunset as far as the lighting goes here. So.
Okay, well, I like the third eye. Okay. But after you, so for instance, like with the Catpiss, again, right away you know what everyone knows what Catpiss smells like. Hopefully, or they have a clue. So when you've smelled other weed, which has a cat pissy thing, it's pretty easy to think that that's also the original. So there's, I think we got interesting stories. Some of them, I think it's also the fact that we're at that point where a lot of us, nice, good job.
You like that?
The anti-shine
You
action
like that? How's that work?
Yeah, now I'm shiny guy. But the fact that, how things sometimes start like in 3 different places, same name, same thing, or it might not, but it might not be a totally different strain, and it's just because of that communal consciousness that we have. And with cannabis, because we're all growing with it as we go along, it's like, when you look at the different types of hash, for instance, now, there wasn't, half of these things didn't even exist in our world a couple years ago. We pretty much are reinventing the wheel each and every cycle. And so if something new comes around, all of a sudden that becomes the standard. And it can overtake sometimes with strains. Before, it was a lot of times the availability also was the issue, which we ran into with the whole Catpiss stories, when we realized that Tom wasn't growing a ton of weed, but he was growing fire. And when there's only a small amount of fire around, everybody wants it, and that becomes legendary. You know what I mean? So legendary has its own twist sometimes.
It's you're talking about a family member when you're talking about genetics that people grew up with, and everyone's forgetting right now. So if you go back 20 years, you went to your guy who grew something, and he grew a single strain, and that was his strain, and maybe he had a couple of other strains he grew well, but it was that strain. Now we go to the
smoke effect going on there.
Is that cool? Now you go to a store, you can buy whatever you want. 900 different strains, so no one really has that loyalty to it. But if you said something about a strain you grew up with, Diesel, Crippy, whatever it was, and you didn't like what you heard, it was like somebody was talking about your wife, your girlfriend, or your kid. You wanted to defend it vehemently. And I think it strikes a nerve at people. And then you come back 30 years later, we're sitting here as 50-year-olds, and you're smoking a strain, right? And it could bring you back to the day.
Well, it's funny because now we're talking about time frames that are like crazy to other people, like 20 years, 30 years, you know what I mean? And like I was kind of discussing in the beginning, in 30 years, I also think about too, like how people say, weed got stronger, weed got weaker, weed got, it's like, if you listen to people talk about weed from the 70s, you'd think it was way stronger, just by the talk. Like, dude, I was high for 3 days, and you're like, what? Come on, dude, high for 30 minutes, and you're lucky, you know what I mean? Right. And we're talking about with 85% THC dabbed, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so I just smoked your entire quarter pound in one dab if you really went by the percentages and all that. But still, it triggered it got people fucking ripped, obviously. And, I think it's also becoming pretty clear that THC is not really the main thing. It's that full cannabinoid profile, which is, that's
the entourage effect.
Well, that's the thing that I would love to try. That's what I would love to check with those old strains, because a lot of those ones, they did have such an overall effect. They were super low when you compared them to now. Maybe 10, 12% was like a super high one. 15% was like outrageous. And nowadays, if you get hit 15, you're like, that's shit. That's just mids.
How does anybody know what the percentages were? Nobody was testing anything back in the day.
Of course nobody.
No, you didn't know anything.
We have no sound. Is that true, or is that just one person?
Uh-oh.
No, I have sound.
Oh, you have sound.
Fear Nuke doesn't have any sound.
All right. Poor.
It's your computer, buddy. I think that there was something. It's like you go back.
We're seeing that.
We're here on the top chat, bro.
Yeah. Oh, you have to hit the button to scroll down. There was a time back in, I want to say, it was the summer of 1991. A strain came down from British Columbia that was...
M39 probably.
It was fire. It was like frosty, fluorescent green, bright orange hairs, well-formed crystal. It was really nice, and it didn't get you high at
Pretendica.
all. Pretendica, yes.
Pretendica, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
so
probably some fucking CBD swag that was probably really right now would be the shit.
It would be the shit right now. So that's one man shit in a day, wait a little while, then it's the fire, right? So that's where we are right now.
But then again, there's certain strains, like the one we're going to talk about today, which somehow live on in infamy, but at the same time, everyone does have the same thing where they're like, can't find a good sour these days, which is not true. There's still not there. It's out there. It's just that, it's hard for people to hang on to anything for 20 plus years is hard. And obviously a lot of fuckery too, right? So it's been one of those.
Well, I'm interested in hearing about how not only the strain got started, but how it eventually was proliferated out into.
Oh, don't you worry.
That because that's important.
All those details will come out.
I really want to hear that, and I don't think at the end of the day it needs to be a battle between I came out with this strain first and I crossed with yours and you came out with that. Then at the end of the day,
back off, Dave.
At the end of the day,
no one wants to hear your opinions, bro.
Yeah,
there are. I truly think, in my opinion, never to be so humble, is that at the end of the day, we, the consumers of fine cannabis, benefited from a good, healthy rivalry amongst you early geneticists and breeders out there that provided us with the landscape that is what we know of cannabis today, right? I mean, there are so many great strains going. I mean, I'm looking at the table right now, and I'm thinking to myself, this would have been considered someone's ultimate collection 20 years ago. I mean, no one would have this fire. So we've come a really, really long way.
Speaking of things like that, I haven't even like that. What the fuck's up with this bullshit, fake shit? Well, I don't know if it was fake, but some new cannabinoid that just miraculously showed up on the radar, which doesn't make any sense.
So I read about it, I want to say 4 days ago on Twitter. Somebody posted, I think it was Todd posted it, that they feel that the two new cannabinoids have been discovered. And so my just knee-jerk reaction was one of them CBD-EFG, because there's, everybody has some new name for it. So I used to joke around and say that we're eventually going to find some cannabinoid, call it CBD-EFG, that cures impotence, male pattern baldness, small boobs,
diabetes.
Weight loss, diabetes, headaches, you name it. And maybe it's one of these that's coming out right now. I was hoping maybe we'll get, Dr. Mark to call in, or we'll... I
saw the other day and I was thinking to myself, like, doesn't really seem like we could...
It kind of reminds me of, what was that, Delta 8 or whatever? It was the acetate. The THCO or whatever, remember that? Mm-hmm. Remember, someone came in here and actually had it, and we dabbed it.
Dude, I got that third eye. It's just not going away.
I know that Dr. Mark Scialdone, he has hydrocannabinoid, right? So it's
Delta
not
8.
Delta 8 hydrocannabinoid.
Right.
And that's almost what I hear people talk about, that cannabinoid being similar to CBG, is very uplifting, almost like your workout cannabinoid, the thinker cannabinoid. So listen, let them continue to refine. I want to try them all, but I'd like to continue to see them do things like this, because this is some fire.
Most important is the flower. It doesn't matter how you're looking at it. That's where all the interesting shit's happening. That's where all these unique profiles are popping up. There's Mark Scialdone right there.
There you go. Why did we just called you?
We just tried to call you, boy.
Why didn't you? Can you call us? Can you Skype in?
720-310-8237. Give us a call, Mr. Scialdone. We need to talk to you about this.
Oh, would you just call in and explain it? You can't expect me to get it right. Come on.
What's he doing? Is he trying to explain it to you?
No, he's saying I should get it right because I didn't say it right.
Of course he should get it right. I mean, come on. We're talking about Dave here.
You listen. I break things. I'm off topic. I interject when I should be listening, and I listen when I should be interjecting.
Perfect guest host.
You're in it perfect.
So look, you know what I think you cursed me on my fucking...
Oh, the Puffco's not working?
All of a sudden it's not working. Because you got a Carta.
Let's use the Carta.
Bring a Carta around, and the fucking Puffco just dies on you.
It's kryptonite to the Puffco.
It's pretty much knows it's been beat, I think. No, it's weird. I just cleaned it all out, made it all nice. Look how clean it is.
And what's wrong? It won't even turn on?
It does. It vibrates. Doesn't heat up. There you go. And it's funny too because I saw our guest coming on the show
No,
today.
you got the rainbow.
Oh my God!
You broke it. That's it.
The rainbow of death.
The dreaded rainbow of death. Everybody, I had to look that up because they called it the Puffco Rainbow of Death. There's a whole Reddit channel on it. But here, give me that. I'll put it in this one for you.
There you go. Do it to it.
It's 310-8237, right?
720-310-8237. Yes, sir.
Cool. He's talking about sending him a link.
Oh.
I just told him to Skype in to
Send a link, Skype in. We got a few minutes. We're going to jump on with the bro in about 15 minutes. So we have 15 minutes here to fucking jibber jabber. Plus, I guess we should probably do some should we do shout outs before we get on to the fucking big story?
Well, that's an interesting thing. Mark and I were talking about that before the show. I think that there's a whole discussion on just shout outs in general, how we can sort of make them a little bit more friendly.
No one wants them anymore.
No, come on.
Shout outs, bro.
Here you go. Oh, wow, that's going nice for you.
Let's see.
There's
it's my first hit on a Carter, bro.
Oh, there he is. Oh, Adam's
Hello,
first
you're
hit on a Carter.
Live on the Adam Dunn Show. Who do we got on the air?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Dr.
I
Mark.
guess I figured this out, huh?
Good job.
So when the phone
what's
rang,
up, Adam? How you doing, man?
Good. You didn't want to talk to us when we called you a little while ago?
no, because it's calling from my phone. He was ghosting me.
Oh, that was the thing. Yeah, I should never call you.
He
from
was
Dave's phone.
ghosting me.
I should have never done that.
I didn't ghost you at all.
You were like, oh, you looked. Well, you looked at it's called. You looked at the phone. You saw Dave's name, and with a really bad picture of him, and you said, "Fuck that guy! I ain't talking to them."
Bad picture of me. What are you talking
He's
about?
got one. Everyone's got a bad.
Because they do now because of this thing
I
here.
keep bad pictures of everybody for their little pop-ups, just in case they
Friday.
see it.
Who called on Friday evening?
I sent you a text
5 o'clock
first.
Friday.
I said we're calling
Did you
in.
send
We
me
had a
that?
question.
So
Yes.
So tell us
Okay,
about.
so what's the question?
Well, we've seen all this shit on the news, and when I see the words "new cannabinoid,"
It's fake news, right?
I'm totally skeptical. I'm 100% skeptical right out of the gate. Like, that ain't true. Whatever. Tell us.
Right.
You're the man. We need to talk to you because people who don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking obviously about the THCP. Is that the one you want to talk about?
Exactly what we're talking about. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So this I read this paper a couple weeks ago when it was first came out. The day it came out in Nature, and it's from a group in Italy. Look how many authors are on that paper. 12 authors. We call that a football team size paper because when you could throw a football team number of bodies at any one thing, you can discover a whole lots of things.
Uh-huh.
It's just really cool because what they did is they discovered, what they discovered, it totally makes sense that it's there. And I think that this is part of like that kind of unclaimed fraction of unknown cannabinoid space. Like when you could make a good live resin and you could extract and you could see, damn near 100% of all your material counted for if you do the terpene analysis and the cannabinoid analysis, and you add up all the THCA which is in there, which is probably going to be like 85-90% of the material,
right.
And the rest of it is all terpenes. There's usually like 3 or 4% of other stuff that we don't know what it is, or it's just stuff that's like some of the minor cannabinoids. I've talked about this as kind of like an orchestra. So think about, you have your first trumpet in the orchestra, but you have a second trumpet and a third trumpet. So now what you're seeing now are some of the minor components that make up, cannabinoid extracts. So I think they discovered that, okay, just in terms of the molecule itself, it just has a carbon tail rather than a C5 carbon tail, a pentyl carbon tail. It has a heptyl carbon tail. So the carbon tail is extended by 2 lengths of Tinker Toy, right? So it basically extends the chain 2 carbons longer into the active site. And when they model that on, so like the active sites of the cannabinoid receptor 1 and receptor 2 are actually known. Those are crystal structures, right? Because they've crystallized a molecule inside the active site. So if they erase the molecule, you get kind of like the photographic negative of what the active site of the enzyme looks like. And what you can do on the computer is you can dock. When I say dock, it's like docking like a boat. You can dock compounds into the active site, and you could measure the energy of that binding and see if it's stronger or see if it's weaker. And so in silico, that means inside the computer, this docks 30 times stronger than THC. So it doesn't mean that it's 30 times more potent, but it says that basically extending that carbon chain by 2 carbons increases the affinity for the receptor by 30x. This stuff's pretty fucking potent, and at a very small quantity, it can really probably have an impact on the user.
Can we have Mark try some this afternoon?
Well, you know, the thing is like whenever I hear things like anything times anything, like 10 times, 30 times, it's almost like, you know, even with the isomization back in the day, that was always like, you know, it's going to be 100 times stronger.
Hard
to
believe, right?
And you're like, nah, it doesn't.
And very susceptible to different user tolerances, right? Like you wouldn't think that somebody who uses a lot, you know, it just may not be as potent as someone who doesn't use it quite as much. But I was thinking, like with this, that this compound, these C7 compounds have been there the whole time. It's just this Italian group that did the analytical chemistry to figure out 2 more pieces in the jigsaw puzzle that have always been missing, and now we can plug those in. Now what would be really interesting, and I've done this with a limited data set, is to go back and look at some of my extract mixtures and analyze them to see, hey, maybe those compounds were in there, we just didn't know it, you know?
Right.
And so I think what this speaks to is there's a, let's see, how to break this down. Okay, so the enzyme that puts together the key building block in the cannabinoid biosynthetic pathway is an enzyme called geranyl allotolvic acid transferase, or GOT transferase, GOT transferase. And so basically that's the enzyme that puts a geranyl group onto allotolvic acid to make CBGA, right? So, you know, this enzyme could basically work on other molecules, and so that's where the promiscuity of these enzymes, like, are they specific for just making the THC molecule, or could they also be, you know, the fact that THCV, that's the molecule with the 3-carbon chain, well, THC is the carbon, or the molecule with the 5-carbon chain. Now THCP has got, you know, again, we're sticking to odd carbons because the way that this biosynthetic pathway works is that it works on substrates that are 2 carbon different from one another. That's why we see the 3-carbon, the 5-carbon, the 9-carbon. You'd think that the 11-carbon, all the odd numbers of carbon, they might be, again, the 3rd trumpet, the 4th trumpet, the 4th violin. They might be like some of these really, really minor components. And it's just the, you know, the enzymes working sort of in a promiscuous way to basically just operate on different compounds that are in the plant, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, do you see this being able to be isolated easily, or is this something that's like these guys just, because it's such a fractional thing?
Yeah, I think it's going to be like CBG. I think what they're going to try to do now is they're going to try to screen for mutants where this is the product that's formed over the C5. They're having, you know, this is the same kind of thing with Doug's Varin, right? So those guys have a variety that's it's about 3 to 5. 3 THCV to 5 THC. That's the distillate that they're making over there now. So it's just really interesting because, again, I think what you can do is, you can separate these things by chromatography and certainly get them pure and everything. But I think it's going to take a while for them to breed varieties, because you have to basically breed out making THC, and it makes THC so well that to breed that out, like Sam always talked about his synthases in skunk number 1, and that the CBD synthase, which is the enzyme that makes CBD, is just completely non-functional. He found a mutant that just doesn't work. So there's no fucking CBD in skunk number 1. It's all funneled into the THC, the THC tunnel. So the question is if you start opening up more tunnels for that CBGA to go, what's the driving force to not make THC? So I think it's going to be a while, maybe a generation or two, before they identify, high THCP varieties.
Sure.
But
I think THCV is going to. I think THCV is going to be the one that everyone just kind of it appreciates as much as they appreciate regular Delta 9, just because it has it is like that magical fucking effect where it's the one thing that is different on, especially all those South African strains and things that were just like more trippy in their own right way, and like way stronger for a smaller amount of, like having just a tiny little bit of cannabis and being like, fuck, I'm like really high from that, and is pretty much, I think it all, in my opinion, it's a THCV.
There's a whole series of receptors now. They know it's not just the CB1 receptor. Although the CB1 receptor, think of as kind of like the steering wheel, and the steering wheel is really important on where the car goes, but there's so many different other facts. There's they now know that there's a whole family of these TRPV receptors that, again, cannabinoids act on, and the kinetics and how they act are very, very different. So the so-called creeper high and how that, you guys were talking about THC acetate just before I got on. Everyone always says about that. I mean, I don't know if you've heard this before too, Adam. It's especially with distillate, is there's a prolonged period where you don't kind of feel high, and then all of a sudden it kicks in, right? A minute later, you're fucking stoned, as opposed to taking a heady dab where right away you're kind of knocked on your ass right away. It seems like there's a different mode of action for some of those. I tried, that.
I think the same with. I think the same with yours.
THC distillate is good. I like that. I got a sample of that from Paul Daly when I went out and visited him, and that stuff was good. I mean, it's nice and subtle, and I'd like to get that in a good vape pen. I think it would be good. I like the THC mix myself. Some people may not like that, but
I totally, I'm down with that too. And the one you gave me too, that one, your patented cannabinoid.
Oh, the HACA. Yeah.
How's that going?
Yeah.
How's that all going? It's I mean, it was
well, that's
different too. It had that, like you said, it was kind of almost a creeper kind of thing where it didn't really come on quickly, and then you noticed it later. It's well, shit, actually, that thing did kind of have the same vibe where it kind of caught up to you, which I always like.
Man, we've gotten so many different input from different people. We've given it to folks who are claiming that this thing is keeping them alive because they're cancer patients, and it's always great to be able to say that you're saving people's lives. But the headiness of it, when we handed out those pens at Vegas, we didn't have any this year, but we handed out some last year. Two folks who were on opiate painkillers claim that this makes them feel like the way their opiate does, So right away we said, well, keep it away from Pinsky.
I was just going to say that.
And Pinsky was as inebriated as he was, and he was definitely shit-faced. He definitely made it to my hotel room at the Cosmo to get his free shit.
Yeah, so it works just like smack.
And he promised me he was going to get me on the show, Adam, and that never happened.
Imagine that. Imagine that.
He's listening right now.
Of course he's listening.
He's
little fucker.
Okay, hey, Jason, what's going on?
Yes.
Jason, when am I going to get on the show, man?
Next week.
Yeah. I didn't even get on the show, dude. Come on. There he is. Ha, ha, ha.
Yeah. More science, right?
That's so funny.
Yeah.
No more science.
He says it worked.
Like
He says
that.
it worked, and there you go. It nails it. It hits those opiate receptor sites.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to say.
How is it there, Pinsky, hobnobbing and rubbing elbows with all those famous Hollywood people right now as you, ascended the ranks of the cannabis elite to become, what are you, procurement manager, or what was the title? It was cannabis.
Canna evangelist.
No, it was
right?
cannabis producer, right, Pinsky? Come on, dial in. What was your? I had to give him credit. I mean, he was the first person in the industry to, through SAG, to get his name in lights as being, in mainstream TV. So bravo for you. So, but now, what have you done for us lately?
And now he's like Chris Rock in fucking smoking crack in the back of the.
Does he take your phone call? He responds to texts from me, but he ghosts me when I dial.
He'll listen. But we knew he'd be watching the show. He's gonna be famous today.
Well,
Anyway, we're making him famous. We're making that guy famous.
I don't know. Infamous. I don't know.
Right.
Infamous.
Any
Infamous.
more famous than your memes, Adam? I mean, your memes-
I've been slacking. I've been slacking on the memes. I have to say.
Well, the one.
He hasn't been. He's not giving me no fucking meat. You got to give me meat to make
No,
it work.
the one that with Yair holding
You
the
love that.
sign, that was great. I actually went up to him at a conference and I said, that was so funny when you held that sign like that. And he's like, bro, that was just Adam on the Photoshop, man. That wasn't me. That was me wishing happy birthday to somebody, So, that's good stuff. I still have one of that famous photo of Pinsky when you put him in a bikini. Right? That's a great one.
Oh jeez. Anyway, if you want, just go to pinskysmybitch.com and you can see all of these. It's still up. Don't worry, guys. It's not been taken down. I've had a few threats where it's like it's down. Yes. Oh, look.
Oh, you want to call in?
Oh, Pinsky. No.
No.
You're not allowed to call in right now.
No.
You can
Nope.
call in other times.
No,
It's
actually,
okay.
call in tomorrow.
Yeah, we want to talk to him for 2 seconds. I don't know. Do we?
Yeah, bring him up. Come on.
We can't add him in, or can we add him in?
I
now?
think it should be fine.
All right,
Okay.
try to call us, I guess.
Yeah.
This is your last chance, and you're not for very long. We're not giving him more than 5 minutes.
Start the timer. Hold on a second. I'll start
Timer,
the timer.
because he's cutting
As soon
into
as he-
cutting into the bros time right
Yeah.
now. So
No, I don't want to do it.
Eh.
Oh, and I do apologize, Mark. I see that you did text me back after that, so my bad, buddy.
Yeah. And there's a story with the bro. Have you guys talked to Joe? Is Joe going to be on the show?
I don't know. This is mystery. You never know. On this show, you never know who's really going to call in.
Why are you giving it away there, Mark?
Wow,
Come on,
Mark
man.
knows. Mark knows. He's just stumbling in. He's Mr. Magoo in our show right now. He's like, "Did you call so and so?"
That's usually my job to Mr. Magoo it all the way through. What are you talking about? Don't steal my thunder.
All right, so
I'm sorry. I'm so out of
no, we got it all covered, dude. Don't worry, we got you covered. We got you covered. We're getting the bro though. The bro is coming on in like 5 minutes. We're gonna give Pinsky 5 minutes if he wants to call in now. It's 720-310-8237. If you couldn't catch that, I'll do it in an opiate style.
It's on the screen too.
720-310-8237. And
8237.
I got an announcement about another show coming up soon since we're on a roll and we're doing the Sour Show today.
Sweet.
Romulan show coming up soon.
Ooh.
Might be next week.
Nice.
Next week or the week after, depending on my travel times and stuff. I think I might be somewhere fun that I'll do a show from, and if I do that, I'll skip the Romulan
It's so
show.
crazy because my friend has a cut of Catpiss Romulan.
Oh my God! It's like we're
And
doing.
we've done him in the past 2 weeks.
Oh
Like,
my
this is
God! We're
great.
covering
shit.
all fucking bases. But anyway, yes, Romulan.
You didn't get it from a crippy sir. I mean, wait. Hold on.
I'll wait.
And
Yeah.
Romulan Gardens will be called. It will be Romulan Gardens. Okay, dial-in number, my guy, is 720-310-8237. There you go. If you
Oh,
can't figure
Pinsky.
that out,
Somebody type it for him.
he's on the screen. Look, it says call in.
Jesus
to the ADS.
Christ.
It's right there.
There you go.
Jesus. Anyway, then there we go. Let's see.
All right, let's see if it works now.
See what this fucker wants.
There's no merge.
No
We
merge.
can
All
only
right,
answer it.
say we're gonna have to drop you, Mr. Scialdone, to talk to him. I'm sorry, but
Oh, Dr. Sheldon. What's this Mr. Sheldon shit?
Sorry,
Doctor.
doctor.
Hold on a sec. We're going to call Pinsky
We're gonna
back.
call him, so you don't have to. We don't
It's
have to drop him.
Pinsky.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, God.
Jesus Christ.
All right, the
Jesus.
floor is yours, brother.
Hello, sir. how's
Mark, is Mark still on the call?
I think we lost
the
him.
air?
I think we just lost him. I think we couldn't.
Man,
merge.
The phone line's not big enough for the two of
I
you.
was having flashbacks to 2014 and 2015 of listening to Mark talk chemistry. I wasn't sure if I was going to fall asleep or or beat off.
Hey.
Or try to make a show out of it. Try to make your own new show out of it. You're like, hey, wait a minute, Mark, I need the Pinky in the Brain again. We forgot all about that show. You never made it.
No, we haven't forgotten about that, Adam. I actually need to give you credit. We're probably going to when I take Pinsky in the Brain onto popular culture. I hope you'll join me in that quest.
If you allow me in there, like you didn't bring me in on the other show. Damn it, you fucking held out on all the.
I have a whole list of people who are upset with me for not bringing them.
How did you have a TV show and not bring Adam Dunn on the show? I would like you to take 30 seconds and just explain that one. How do you talk your way out of that one, Pinsky?
He can't.
I just gotta know.
I wanted to get you on the vegan episode, but we had other people. At least you didn't come on the vegan episode and eat meat. There were some other people that were so interested in being on TV that they would. That's amazing. Yeah, so really psyched to hear the story today, man. I can tell you from my own personal experience that.
Oh, we got Scialdone. Hey, we have the doctor back.
Is the doctor back on now?
Yeah, I'm back.
All right.
I'm back on. Hold on a second. Let me mute.
This is Jason Pinsky on the line with you. He's in awe of your exploits.
We're getting the band back together.
The band is back together.
Hey, Pinsky, what's going on, man?
How you doing, Mark? Good to. It's great to hear you talking chemistry once again, my friend.
Yeah. Well, it's good to be heard.
Hey, so Mark, let me ask you a question. What was it like when you went on Bong Appetit? Oh, wait a second. Sorry. I didn't mean to bring that up. You didn't go on the show because nobody went on the show.
So Jason, do you know that Dave's here in honor of, like, I basically told him he's about as close as I can get to you and have you on the show and just ridicule you the whole time. So he's taking heat.
When I heard Dave was your co-host, I was definitely disappointed and pleased all in the same breath.
All in the same breath.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
You so wanted the job, Pinsky. In a second, you would drop Bong Appetit and you'd be showing up here carrying bags to sit next to him in a minute. Don't give me a fucking break.
I would do anything to get closer to you, Adam. It's certainly been a long time. I am going to actually start putting up more things on my social for you to.
I know you haven't given. You have not. I scan when I'm on a flight or something. I'll be scanning through. Yeah, let me see if I got something to do while I'm on this flight. God
Watch Pinsky ride a motorcycle?
Nah. I've done this.
I think it's worse than that, man. Dude, sometimes I'll put up a post at 3 a.m. and like at 3:15 a.m. like you'll have it like doctored and posted. Like I'm pretty sure you like wait up. You have like some sort of like alarm that goes off every time I post. So
of course,
it's pretty impressive.
Of course. Well, you know what's the saddest part? Hey, Jason, you know what's the saddest part? Because of all of this, if anything you go into my phone, favorites, most love, like anything, it's always you. It's like, God damn it, fucking Pinsky. How does he get it? He's in more. You're in more than my kid, I think, as far as like as liked.
Facebook's letting you know all your memories, and it's just you and Pinsky
on my
together.
Favorites, it's like fuck. It's just Pinsky now. Jesus.
Yeah.
So
I am glad that you have collected them all into a website for everyone's viewing pleasure. It's once again, it's definitely
Pinsky'sMyBitch.com. Don't forget it. It's real.
Pinsky'sMyBitch.com.
It's real. It doesn't. It's a real thing.
It's heated.
I revel in being your bitch, Mr. Dunn.
Thank you.
Of course,
thank you.
As always.
Thank you.
Yeah, bring on the bro, man. I think it's important because
he's coming on. Well, you're not staying on with the bros here because you're not allowed. We got stories about you, so you're gonna.
Oh no, that's totally cool. I'm gonna hang up and listen. I have hours of entertainment.
I think so.
Ahead of me, but I will say that back in the day, definitely the bro was like the Albany crew and that whole thing. We would go out and see music at Irving Plaza. And we would be upstairs in the VIP, and the sour that was going around back then was definitely from the Albany crew. And the cuts that we had gotten, even before I started to hang tough with AJ in 2014, 2015, came from the bro's bro. So we had our own situation going on in Williamsburg with my friend Scotty, and Scotty's cuts came from the bro. So definitely looking forward to hearing that side of the story for sure today.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, I'm sure your ears perked up when you were like, wait a minute, the bro on the show? For real this time? Not the...
Well, we tried to do it. So we tried to do it 5 years ago, right? In studio, and it just didn't happen.
We did.
The bro is like gotten this whole resurgence. Now that the Grateful Dead are back, it's like the bro is like back on tour. It's crazy.
It's amazing. It's
Wait,
amazing.
what?
Yeah. Of
What did you just say? Who?
Who's
Who's back on tour?
And the thing is,
Netting
it's,
company.
and the thing is it's like in those years of not having him on the show, a lot more is like come back to it's kind of pieced itself together because it's also sensitive subjects, lots of fucking butt hurtness going around, as you can imagine. So that everyone's a little sensitive about it, but at the same time, I think now we've kind of dialed it in. Everybody's in I think everybody's in agreement of how it all rolled. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about in the next couple hours, which is going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I know you are. I know New York's watching.
Yeah, get at it, boys. I'm gonna let you get on with your stuff.
We don't need to talk.
Wait, we're going to let Pinsky get off the phone without somebody ripping the shit out of him for something
my 5 minutes
else?
is officially over.
It is officially
Look
over.
at him running.
It is. This is the most.
Jesus
This is the most I've ever seen him back off on anything. So, good. Let's keep rolling with it. Thank you, my friend. For
Thank you,
calling.
Enjoy it,
Pinsky.
gentlemen.
Talk soon.
Enjoy it.
Here's to you,
And put
buddy.
some fucking photos up so I can get some work done.
Yeah, really.
I got.
More bikini photos, please, Pinsky.
He didn't. Don't worry. I got that covered. I got that part covered. All right, man. Thanks for calling. And Mark, you're still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm listening.
Thank you,
cool.
Doctor.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you, Doctor. I'm gonna get the bro on the line, and we're gonna get this fucking show started properly. So next time we need some more scientific input, which is we know the speed dial you like we used to do. So we'll get you more on the show.
Yeah, well, tell Dave to send me like a advance warning, like a couple hours in advance.
We were sitting here and somebody said, you know what, I need to know something. And I said, well, let's call you because you would know.
All right. Well, Mark, we got the bro on the line, so
now.
I want to talk to you in the near future. But from now, just keep
All right,
back
Adam.
and watch the show. All right, peace, man.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Have fun.
Thanks.
Bye-bye, guys.
Peace. Yo. Is this the bro line or what?
Bro.
How's it going, buddy?
Oh, good. Look at this. 5 years in the making. Amazing. We got it all worked. We got technology on our side. Even got new computers in the meantime.
No new computers.
Just to make this happen. So, welcome to the show.
you.
I can hear myself a little bit in the background. You can maybe turn, if there's anything there, turn it down so we don't get that fucking old school
Right. How about now?
old school radio swag going on. I think it's okay.
Turn the radio down and take any marbles you have out of your mouth.
So, no, I can still hear it. So, just turn it off. It's no problem. You can hear me.
I don't have anything on in the house, brother.
Oh, you don't? Okay. I just hear it.
No, maybe it's the cordless phone. I don't know.
No? Okay. I don't. You hear a little?
No, I heard the echo, too.
I wasn't hearing anything either.
It's okay.
Yeah.
We'll make it work.
Probably your studio, bro.
Of course it's my studio. You know me. You know me as well as I know you, and we just fucking slap this shit together every time, and somehow it works. But
No, this was planned at least 3 days in advance.
so I just want to for the people out there that don't know, obviously, this is a show about sour diesel, right? Because if there's one thing I know, the first person to ever say the word sour diesel to me was you, 100%. Like, I can picture it in my head, you in the CIA complaining about all our weed sucks and that you got fucking where's the sour, right? And I was definitely in the dark as far as the being in Holland and having my own things going on, and it took a while for you to get it to the point where we could actually, partake in it. And I think the legend that thing brought on is just unbelievable. Like, to the point of, like, it's become its own cultivar. It's become its own sort of category in a sense, where you were, as we're going to explain, I think, in the show, making that happen in the sense of, it was a group effort, but at the same time, everyone needed to have somebody to keep the shit kind of rolling. So
Absolutely.
give us let's talk like a little pre-sour days and even pre-chem days. What was, because I saw you posted the other day that the first thing you ever got it in clone form, I guess. Tell us about that strain that you posted the other day. I forgot what it was, but.
That was a Fruit Loop strain.
Oh, yeah,
that
Fruit Loops.
came from Connoisseur, Cultivator's Choice, rather, that someone had grown in the 518. It was the first bud I had ever smoked as a kid, and basically it's stuck with me ever since. I got back into the cannabis community up in Albany
and the original people approached me because I had been talking about it so much, and they got it back into my hands. But to this day, there's something about that cannabis that's a special high.
That Fruit Loops one, is that you said it, so it's still around 30 years later, basically.
Absolutely, same cut.
And it's the same.
They've had it going.
It still has the same nose and everything.
Yep, the flavor and the high. It really hasn't lost much.
Now, one of the things I realized. So you're saying that's the first, like, not the first weed you smoked, but the first good weed you smoked, or something like that.
The first indoor, probably. Maybe I smoked, and then there was a lot of this pine cone stuff that came from, like, some guys who came back from Vietnam, like, I'd say maybe like some kind of Afghan, just really piney stuff. That was what was a lot around in upstate New York, outdoor, and just what we were exposed to as kids.
Yeah, because I think one of the things I recognized in you right away when I met you was this fucking guy smoked too much weed. I was like, I couldn't even, I literally was like, oh my God, because I watched how you just blew through shops and bought out entire fucking menus and just crushed it up over a fucking screen and just keefed it out and smoked it up. And I'd be like, wow, that's that pretty much you're already peaking out at that point.
Pro level.
So I understood that you have a high tolerance, I would have to say, right? But
yes.
But when you started smoking weed back with this Fruit Loop stuff, was like, I mean, what kind of Keith were we talking about? What kind of bro was it? Was like, were you right out of the gate realizing this is, yeah?
Well, basically in fourth grade, I had a fish in an aquarium. Mm-hmm. As a kid, the fish had died, and my father decided to put some pot seeds in the aquarium and put a, saran wrap over the top, make it an aquarium, make it a little greenhouse. And so every day I'd come home and tend to them until they were too big. I came home one day and they were gone. And I was just, I was taken back pretty much. So the following year I stole seeds out of his bag from his old English leather container where he stored stuff. Mm-hmm. And I took my first shot probably in the end of 4th, 5th grade outdoor. Not much came of it. I maybe got one female with a one bud on it, but that pretty much set me for the trip.
Mm-hmm. And when you got this Fruit Loops thing back in the day, were you growing then, or were you just? No,
I was just a kid in high school that was exposed to it and working it.
Sure. Yeah, because I kind of always was under the impression that you had definitely the eye for it and all that, but not necessarily wasn't like you were in the trenches or anything like that back in the day. Just more or less. No,
but I knew by 6th grade I wanted to move to Holland, and it's the truth. That had been my vision the whole time. Until 24 when I had gone over there. Maybe 23 was maybe the first time, but that had always been in my plan. I just loved the fact, the way cannabis grew outdoors and the pictures that I had seen, and it's just something I loved.
Yeah. So let's move ahead to the the chem days, I guess you could call it, because no one's under any other impression than the sour comes directly from a chem line, right?
Absolutely.
And we all kind of know that chem's a little unstable when it comes to throwing a nanner here and there, and definitely those miracle seeds came from somewhere, right? So when you start getting the miracle seeds on top of miracle seeds on top of miracle seeds,
well, as long as it's clear that it is a pheno hunting and nobody did any breeding, because that would be a big misconception.
Oh yeah,
it was gifted. I'm just saying.
Like a lot of the, all those 90% of those early 90 things. There's very few people out there that were doing any real work. Maybe some preservation if there was certain people who were growing isolated and had some maybe some ties and things like that were very nobody's really sharing back in the day. So, but for the most part, the biggest strains out there are just fuck ups. You know what I mean? And that's
Right.
But the good part is and I was explaining to somebody about an hour ago, was at least you smoke the other, at least you smoke it so you know what half of it is right out of the gate. You know what I mean? So that gives you, that's why those things are selected properly, is because it was weed that was already in the system, already working, already kind of, given the green light.
Right.
Whereas if people, but now what you see is more people are breeding and there's more seeds out there, but they're way they've never been tested on hundreds or thousands or now millions of people. Once we got a good consensus that we like Kush, we like sour, we like cookies. There's flavors out there that people just like, and whether you like them or not, especially when you're growing them. Because growing and smoking are a completely different thing. There's certain and as we also know, most of the fucking great plants aren't necessarily the best yielders, except like Gorilla Glue's one of the ones that worked well, and that's why it became so popular. And it's also why it fucking gave everybody fucking the fucking viroids and shit too, because everybody passed that clone around like crazy, and that's probably responsible for more virus transactions than any plant, because it kind of looked okay and did its thing, and people didn't realize they're dudding out on them or whatever. But with the chems, it was a pretty small group. So how did tell me how that whole sort of part of your life started?
Basically, I had met some kids through the music scene, the pot scene, and the Mexican scene. Some kids went to school in Albany who were from New Jersey. Other kids went to Albany High School, right at Albany. And another guy was from Staten Island. That would be Mike Klopp. Mm-hmm. Basically, we just we all had the love for growing, and we just started growing and working things. And Mike Maxwell and Vondo got seeds out of the chem that Klopp had grown. Mm-hmm. They put the seeds for a while, put them away, and then let's see. Eventually,
now was that the infamous Our Chem?
Yes. Well, that's how it got to when he labeled the cups.
Yeah. They were in film film canisters or something, right? Like we used to do.
Yeah, that I can't really speak on.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah. Or something like that.
You might know, but I couldn't tell you that. But basically, it was a seed out of a bag that eventually Manny grew later. Mm-hmm. That came into the sour diesel. But as far as people aren't really sure what pollinated the two, if it was self-pollinating mm-hmm. or if it was pollinated by, I happen to think it was a Cushman Purple Kush, but they think it was the RFK.
Right.
I don't really know the lineage of the RFK myself.
And I mean, that's the thing. It was, and there was multiple plants in the room. So I mean, it's like one of those, and they're all pretty, and they're all
there's
kind of
really
unstable.
No telling what the father is, mm-hmm. as far as But that's basically how the sour came to be.
Right, and then, like I said, and then Hal popped that bean, which is the photo that I sent to you, and
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, and that was the beautiful part about this sort of story, is that I mean, regardless whether or not it's, I mean, we're all pretty much under the, we all realize it wasn't real work, but it was real good luck, and it was a fucking 1 in a million, which happens, and it still happens to this day, but it's a matter of timing wise, that thing just took off in its own right, because it was.
Well, I think the universe provides to those that it needs to. I mean, call me a freak, but I believe in karma, and things are given to people, and not anyone pops a sour diesel seed but Manny. Mm-hmm. Why? Who knows? I can't ask that, but it was gifted to him, and that's the facts. Mm-hmm. Where they came from and whatnot, So that's how I see it.
Right, and then, but I mean, okay, so, and what we were talking about earlier was, when you'd come to Amsterdam, you never came alone. You always came with a big crew, right? You always had your whole posse of guys, and I mean, for the most part, a lot of those guys were, obviously everybody was kind of working off the sour at that point, I would assume.
Yeah, but it all started with the Mexican, really. If we didn't have the Mexican Syndicate out of Tucson that produced, like, we had the highest end mids ever, that it allowed us to all focus on our projects and then bloom from there. So it's like, if we didn't have that in the beginning, tying us all together, who knows if we would have been able to even get, rolling.
Right. And, well, I mean, that's basically where all the money's at. Even nowadays, like, growing hemp makes more money than growing cannabis because you can sell thousands of pounds. You know what I mean? So you're like 10,000, 100,000. So
right.
You're making $60 off 100,000 pounds. It's better money than any fucking flower these days, because the flower is, down the tubes in a sense, as far as, $1,000 a pound, and you're lucky these days. But you were pretty much at the heyday, because I mean, for the most part, everybody from New York, that I know, has a sour diesel story, because they, rolled into it at some point. But I mean, what we want to talk about is kind of the when really it was when it was really tight, and when there was so much money at stake, because it was like ridiculous numbers.
I was going to say, once the sour got rolling, it was $8,000 a pound straight up, $500 an ounce. Every delivery service in New York, Buddy Greenberg, you name it, these people were buying it to buy the duffel bag full, because it was just, and they would say, listen, if we didn't have it at our service, at least people would call and hope we had it, so we'd still do business even when we didn't have it.
Was that 800 watt pot back in the day? Was that the number to call back in New York City? It was 800 watt pot?
Oh, I don't. There was a million, sir. That could have been one. I don't remember, but we served a few of the services, and they loved it, because it was that, and the hazes were just, their money makers.
For sure. And unfortunately, I mean, nowadays there's few and far between that are really like on point, right? And then there's so many fraudulent ones, because people just, abuse anything that becomes popular, whether it's,
of course,
anything purple now is cookies, and then, it's like, or all of a sudden it's runts. The next day the same one is runts. You know what I mean? People just love to flip names and stuff.
I call it rebranded, renamed. Like, a lot of the stuff looks all the same to me in pictures until I have to read what it is. I can't. I mean, it's very close.
Well, I mean, what is your consensus on the sort of like stability of that strain in the right hands? And like, let's say, I mean, obviously you have a few. I
mean, I just did a run of it with the new Gavita lights, the 1700s, and they came out like, I mean, they looked like I wanted to like put them in a glass, blow glass around them. They were so beautiful. I mean, maybe the smell's a little bit gone, but it's still as potent, and it still chunks up. Mm-hmm. I mean, for being as old as it is, it really, I think it holds its own. I mean, the smell was a blessing and a curse. I mean, I've gotten more trouble from the smell of that in grows overseas and around that.
Yeah.
A lot of people phased it out because they didn't want to deal with the smell. It was just too much.
Yeah, that's also the fate of a lot of good strains, is that, they're like, where's all that skunk? It's like, well, probably mostly in jail. Like I say, like 90% of it's in jail, because it's fucking just blew itself out of it fucking exposed itself. And I think also those are the terps. I think the terp side is probably the hard, like where you're going to see any degradation in the plants, because genetically they shouldn't really be an issue. But at the same time, when it comes to like the same clone for 27 years, there's usually something along the way that kind of gets lost,
Yeah, and I'm not going to say it's at the same plant as it was then. There's no way. One little nug in my pocket would stink up this whole house. Like, it's not quite that, but it's still that same poop.
Mm-hmm.
And the problems it's caused. In Holland, I had problems with it. The people they couldn't handle it.
Right.
And then, I just, everywhere I tried to take it, I had problems, and a lot of people that I had given to just phased it out and went to other stuff because of the smell.
So, again, I'm sure you got a few stories in that world. What's the, especially Holland? I mean, Holland is rough because, again, they love money, they don't really love weed. And so when you confront them with weed that, like, smells their entire shop out, all of a sudden they're pissed off at you, which you're like, what? No, dude, are you kidding me? Like that's the fucking point, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What was some of your crazier times with that, as far as either?
The first time I remember when Manny brought the clones on the plane and we were going over. He had like a Tupperware with 4 Rockwool cubes in there with 4 cuttings. That's how we got the first sour diesel grow going. He also had like a 1/4 pound of pot in his pants, or however he got it there. He brought that as well. And we had just gotten there. We were hanging out, and we went over to the greenhouse, and we went over to see Neville and Steve Hayes. We went to see Steve Hayes for something. Neville was there.
Mm-hmm.
And
makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
So we sat down, we started talking to Neville, and we were very eager to show him what we had. And we pulled it out of the Tupperware, how it rolls went up, and he takes it. Neville smells it. He goes, "Interesting. It must be one of mine."
It's almost what he said to me about the sage. It's kind
I
of
was like,
almost
I
word
don't
for
think
word.
so. And then out of eyes, like 20-year-old kids looked at each other and smiled, and we felt like $1 million, man.
All you had to do was really just give the strain to Steve to smell, and he'll smell the difference in the two of them, and you'll each
Oh, of course.
The nose knows. He can differentiate better than any laboratory I've ever visited.
But I mean, you never even got
So
to fucking.
that's just like, that was epic in our world as a young kid. I mean, we were just like, whoa.
Well, I mean, when you came over that time, when you came over to actually set up shop, that was like about 4 years after being after maybe what year was that?
Right. I think it was 96 or 95. I got the Voken register, or whatever it was, to register as a legal resident there.
Right. And
but I can't really put. I mean.
That lasted about a year, a year and a half or something.
Not even. I got deported because I got deported above the Sagamather situation when the neighbors told me that it smelled so bad they wanted to puke like dirty feet. And I told them I'd
exactly
give them
what you want to hear.
Is that a new strain, dirty feet
trip
strain?
to France for the weekend if they could just let me go because I was about to harvest in a couple days.
Yeah.
And they said no problem. And then we're up there hanging out. And the next thing you know, the fucking police knock on the door asking to see the grow, and that was it. I got wrapped up, and as I was being let go, I saw Tony from Sagamather Seeds across the canal, staring at me with his long hair, with a shit-eating grin, laughing because he had asked me to enter that sour in the cannabis cup against Arion's, whatever he had that year. And I told him I wanted nothing to do with it, and if I did, I was going to give it to Adam Dunn. Well, Tony wasn't having that.
Yeah.
And
it was.
That was it. I got deported. But
that was some bullshit
right there. The Dutch police did make me sign some kind of thing, and they took the mother plant to some hospital greenhouse instead of killing it because they realized that ain't like no other Dutch shit that's around here. So, they had made me sign away some shit, and they took the plants to some medical facility in Lighton by some hospital.
Right. And now it's...
So I don't know whatever happened after that, but...
Yeah.
They're growing it for medical patients.
I hope so. I hope so. Then another shot, we came back and tried it again in the Old South. And... we finally got up and running. We were about a couple of weeks away, and we blew the transformer in the road.
Yeah.
And then we had to pay for them to pick up all the cobblestone, redo the.
Yeah, in Holland, when the power goes out, they have to dig your street up. It's fucking nuts.
By hand.
Yeah, it's literally like if you see when you have a grow there and you look out your window and you see them fucking lifting up things, you're like, oh, we're fucking up right now. Turn everything down, shut her down, because it's fucking. It's crazy. They really just come in and rip up about a square meter, and then they start digging by hand, and they dig down to the fucking thing. You're like, it could be easy. It could be an easier way to do this. I would think.
It has to be an easier way.
Yeah, no, it was definitely.
Yeah. But they were easy, not so. I mean, they did make us leave or whatever. They weren't so harsh because we were paying for electric, and back then, everyone just stole electric. That was just what people did.
Oh, yeah. So, Holland is the first thing you learn, when you were there, the very first grow I had, I called an electrician to come help me out and wire it up, and then he came, he wired it up, and then on the way out he goes, "Oh, let me just show you something." And he was like old school. He went and drilled a little fucking hole in the thing, and then he had a pin, and you'd fucking slide the pin in and literally stop the meter. It was that and he'd be like, "Yes," and then you just take it out every day. You put it in for you take it out for 1 day, and then after 1 day you stop it, and then you pay the 1 day, and you fuck the rest. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And that was like my little fucking. I paid him I don't know, $100 to come over, and I was like, that was the best $100 I ever spent right there.
That's like getting free cable back in New York City in the day.
And then later they showed me the even easier way, which was like you opened the box and you took off one screw, and it was like, oh, the meter stops. You're like, that wasn't. There you go. So, yep, the old days. So the
we took 2 runs at it. We got shut down twice. I mean, it goes to show.
And that's the thing. I remember the second place more than the first place. I don't even remember. I don't think I knew you were doing the first place. I think you were just kind of.
Neither did Tony. That's what got him upset, because he found out 2 weeks before we were done. He's like, not above my shop. And I'm like, bro, chill out. And he was just not having it. I'm like, bro, you're a hippie. You're a deadhead. What are you doing? He's just like, whatever. Just we didn't click. How about that?
That's crazy. That's crazy too, because it's like one of those. That should be a no-brainer if you're right. You're just like.
Deadheads are supposed to commune with each other, man. We're supposed to be accepting of each other, and just everyone gets a break.
99% of us do.
Well,
99%.
I guess you met the 1%er there.
Dave was excited.
Well, you know what? I found a lot of people who live in Holland were there for other reasons. They couldn't go home. Mm-hmm. They. Whatever. So, who knows? Who knows what his backstory really is? I mean, there was a lot of shady people who were hiding out in Holland for whatever reasons, or.
Yeah.
So, who knows? I ran into some of the craziest people I ever met in my life in Holland, like Brian, Black Brian Adams.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the craziest guys I ever met. And the partner, that didn't work out either.
Yeah,
there was a lot of scamming going on in Amsterdam.
I think you were also coming over there, and because of the fact that you were able to sort of swing pretty big each time you came, and everyone was like, "Oh, Keith's here," you know what I mean? So I think after the, you kind of attracted that in the long run, because that's kind of where. And I remember you coming to me at one point, and I was just like. I even said, why didn't you just come to me, to Keith? It was like, oh, well, because obviously that's the crazy part about the dam is that living there for so long, I'd watch them come and I watched them burn out fast. You know what I mean? As you know.
I came in, I took a $30,000 hit at 20-something years old. I came right back with another 50.
I know.
I was determined not to leave Holland.
Good for you.
No, I know. You definitely paid your way there in 100% ways. That's for sure. So let's talk back outside of Amsterdam, but back in the States. So when you were taking care of these clubs and doing all this, was also was there a lot of pressure from people to get the cut, or were you giving it out at all, or was it? I mean, how do you keep?
No, I was I was more than happy to share. I didn't. I was like, everybody should have the goods. That was more my attitude.
Mm-hmm.
It took me years to actually sell a clone, even up until these days. That's not how I was programmed. But
yeah.
Yeah, no, I really didn't. I just kind of gave it out. I think most of us just gave it out for the most part. We just felt like we were gifted something and we wanted to gift it to other people.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I guess there was probably a lot of people gifting, but yet at the same time, it was still a pretty small circle, I'd assume, right? It wasn't that much. I mean, back in the 90s, you had to be a little more ballsy.
Right, at first, but I mean, obviously, I'm talking a little bit down the road. It obviously,
yeah.
But, yeah, no, it was a tight-knit circle of some people that were into alternative, music, alternative lifestyles, growing pot, basically, and then it just basically, my friend Mike.
Is it dab time? Everybody
Hello?
at home, dab along with the rest of
right
us.
Here.
Sorry, my phone died.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, where was I?
No, I was just asking about if it was like, I'm talking like still in the 90s, and how like it would, how to keep a price at like around $8,000, you got to keep a pretty tight crew of people. You can't be like just letting that clone out to everybody. Did you have any? But did you have pressure from any?
True, but there wasn't a lot of huge grows that produced a lot that made it that accessible. So basically, whatever you produced got taken quick.
And was it all GH? Was it all GH at the time? Just classic. Simple.
I mean, as far as our crew was, I don't know. People might have tried some other organic stuff, but it was pretty much all general hydro.
I pretty much remember it being all GH for grower.
Yeah.
I mean, in New York, it's tough to grow organically in the city anyway, and that's not like really the spot or any. I mean, it's just equipment is.
I don't think organics was that advanced back then either, as it is now.
No, not at all. And I mean, GH was pretty much everybody's go-to thing, for the most part. And
well, you didn't have to be a rocket scientist to use it. Let's be honest. I mean,
right. If you can say 2-1-1,
simple program.
1-2.
Yeah, 2-1-1. Switch it around. 1-1-2.
Exactly.
Same shit I use for. So, that's the same recipe forever.
Right.
So.
And then a 1-1-1.
But people talk a lot of shit about salts and stuff. I don't know. For me, it worked. I just use low levels and I flush.
Yeah, I mean. Again, like the sour story. I'd have to go back to kind of clarify things, because now I think what we're getting into is there was a time when it was literally small group of guys, things were rolling, prices were high, but there was no legal market, especially on the East Coast. I mean, that was the thing. East Coast compared to West Coast, 96, things started to open up, medical. But what was the transition of so when did sour sort of make its way to the West Coast? And I feel like at that point is when it kind of there was a lot of name flipping and things changing.
Yeah, well,
so can you
there's a story of AJ who friended a friend of mine. Let's call him a Jewish American prince from the Upper West Side, and they became very good friends. Meanwhile, this guy was a very good friend of mine. Well, somehow Joe and I, drifted apart, so to speak, and him and this guy became very close to the point, he basically stopped liking me and hanging out with Joe. Mm-hmm. So, that's where Joe, I don't even know where Joe actually got his sour cup from, because none of us gave it to him, unless he got it from this guy from the Upper West Side. Which we gave it to him, so.
Right. Well, I mean,
that
that
is where I don't quite understand his input on that.
Well, yeah, no, and we're also kind of all in the situation of looking at when you kind of have a lot of people understanding. Okay, AJ cut, but really what compared to the original cut, it looks different to me, so that's all I know.
Right, it is. At one point, I hadn't talked to any of my family, and I was caught out there years ago, and I had to meet Joe and get a cutting from him. I grew the cutting, and I threw it out right away, because I'm like, what is this shit? This is not the sour. I don't mean to call it shit. It is what it is, but it's not the sour diesel that I know.
Right.
So anyone that has it twisted like that, it's twisted. I'll tell you that.
Now, but at the time, I mean, that is what we're talking about now. But for the most part, up until that time, when things were rolling along, I mean, he was growing the same sour that.
Well, yeah, he's part of the Staten Island Kiva, and him and Bondo are friends, neighbors at one point. But as far as the sour story, that's not really. I mean, yeah, he was putting his time in, and he's put his time in, but it's not really the sour story. It's not his.
Yeah. Well, I mean. The thing I've noticed in the whole industry, and it was always like this too, is the guy who actually kept it alive at a certain point sort of got custody. You know what I mean? It was almost like a kid. You're like, all right, we've all fucked up 7 times. None of us could manage to keep a fucking clone alive. We kept going back to to this.
But the point is that doesn't mean you're asking where it came from or how it evolved.
Yeah.
That's what he did to hold keeper of the flame. Mm-hmm. That's great and all.
No, I'm just saying that's what usually happens, and that's kind of what happened. I think in this situation where it was kind of like, okay, he and explain to us, because this is also where there's a lot of confusion. So day record diesel, and then the connection. I mean, and then and then sour being. Is there any relationship to the? Is that the lineage in the sort of like anyway, or what? Give
You know what? I can't really tell you that honestly. I couldn't honestly tell you that. Answer that. That's not my.
And then, because we kind of glanced over it earlier, but like the whole sour story as far as the name sour, because when you would talk about it when I was in Amsterdam, I had a completely. It's like, when someone explains something to you and then you have this complete different fucking idea in your head, and then when I first tried, I was like, this is nothing like what I was thinking, because I kept honing in on the word sour, and then you explained to me like, no, it's just more the vibe of the beef. So explain that story a little bit to me.
Well, yeah. I mean, I heard like two different versions. One story is when he had put the seeds aside.
Yeah, well, that's
and gave them to me, and he said to Pop.
Mm-hmm.
He had put R's on the side of the cup.
Yeah.
And someone was like, "You can't call that R's. It's not R's." And then he put the S on it. Mm-hmm. That's one story I've heard from our people.
Yeah,
and another one was just like, there was a bunch of phenos and R's were put on one side, so they labeled the sour R's, and then he put an S on it. It became sour. Right. But it was more to clarify, like R's from, our seeds.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We'll find out that somebody had just put some in a sour dill pickle jar, and somebody just glanced at it wrong, saw it, and it stuck.
You making up stories?
I'm making one up right now.
Look
maybe
at that.
maybe.
Sounds good.
But
follow that story, guys. That's going to be the new one. Dude, I heard it was in the pickle thing.
They'll say they heard it on the show, so it must be true.
It must be true, of course. Adam Dunn show lied. They said pickle jar. No.
I think that's so cool that it was ours, and somebody just put an S next to it, and that's as quick as that, and then that's it. It's a sour.
And that's the kind of story that we had heard that we liked, and we liked that story. That was the one that made us all think it was almost more creative. Like I said earlier, it's like when something's like that, you go like, all right, that sounds real.
I get it.
Because it's fucking ridiculous in a sense. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I didn't want to take it there, but that's my belief.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And then so no, I was also asking about West Coast too, as far as, because I feel like because he also got this whole headband issue where you're like, all right, give me that fucking.
Well, that's where I was getting at with this guy on the Upper West Side. So this guy then wanted nothing to do with me for whatever reason, and he changed his actual sour diesel that I gave him to the name Headband. And he said, "You know what? This is like gives me a headband when I smoke it."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Oh, okay, bro, whatever." But that is how the original Headband name came out. But I've seen other strains out west that are Headband that aren't the sour, so I'm not sure what happened. But I know that the original Headband was just a sour cut rename.
Okay, that makes sense. And I heard also similar with the Kush just being like Headband just being another Kush brought up there and just flipped name. And so, and then of course you hear it as a sour diesel Kush cross, which you're like, what doesn't even make sense because they're two clones. So it's like, all right, that doesn't make sense. So how'd that happen? You know what I mean? But they seem to have adapted to wherever the fuck they are anyway. So I've seen headbands leaning in both directions, where you're like, oh, that looks a little bit like that looks more like a Kush, this looks more like a sour.
Right.
Well,
I would say that the first sour that went out west went to Crest Butte in Colorado. We had a friend that we had a grow in Albany on top of an apartment building. The dude went to get a package from Arizona in the mail, got busted at the post office. He had the rent receipt in his pocket. They came to the place where we were hanging out. It was like a studio just filled, and they took us down. And so he moved out west, and then he took the sour with him out there.
Yeah, and then
Crest Butte. Okay. And then California, it just got filtered from a lot of East Coasters who had people and family out there. I can't really pinpoint that.
No, of course. I mean, but it definitely. It's funny to watch how West Coast are so Kush heavy and East Coast are so sour. like it's in their genes now. It's like literally in the DNA. Like they're like, nah, I like
Well,
this one.
especially the New York region. I mean, this is
Yeah.
sour diesel land.
Yeah, and to the point where, especially at certain age groups, I'm sure it's like encoded in them so hard that if they anything, because it's also again like you're saying, if you're noticing there's a little bit lower smell, which is sad. It's a sad day in sour diesel world because that's all people have been fucking searching for the last. Like everyone's searching for that extra. Probably 10 to 15% stink that is missing. You know what I mean? Like we're all sitting at around 85%, which is weird too because I noticed it when Rez came out with all his fucking sour crosses or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were like okay, but they were not. You know what I mean? They were just like,
Right.
They were like 80%.
They didn't have that punch.
Where you were
Well,
like,
I was at a Dead and Co in California, and I was like smoking up some young bucks next to me, and I said, "Oh, you want to smoke some sour?" He goes, "Oh, I don't smoke sour. That shit's watered down." So I was like, "All right, just hit this." So he smokes it. He's like, "Oh, what camp are you at?" I'm like, "We're at upstate New York." He's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" Like he was like blown away. He's never seen sour like that.
right. Well, that's good.
So,
So it's still.
I'm not sure what they.
You changed his universe.
So it's still.
Well, you know, I've been doing that for many years.
I used to love doing that at Dead shows. Start a joint in one direction and watch people's eyes light up when they hit it and going, "Oh my gosh, I don't want to let it go, but I got to pass it to the right." And
Well, I have so much love for the East Coast, and I just love to spread it when I go elsewhere, especially in Cali, you know. 'Cause, you know, I just think that our genetics and our strains are just superior. I really do.
Well, I think that you guys have like thicker skulls technically, so it's harder for the shit to get in there. So I think that's what it comes down to. I think it's the skull thickness.
it's something in your
It's
genome.
an East Coast thing, you know. It's like, man, it needs to be so strong that it fucking makes an effect on somebody who's like, you know, just like rock, like concrete. Like you are a good example. Like Keith would cough so loud every morning, and we lived in the sort of we had this sort of shared space area or whatever, and it was like. Every morning I'd be like, holy shit, he's going to die, dude. He's like, and this is when you were like 24 years old or something like that. So it was crazy.
Well, good. I don't feel so bad now. Mark has the cough button for me.
Keith,
So
it's time for a dab.
A dab time? Everybody dab time.
Oh, God.
Bro says dab time. Everybody load one up.
Should we do shouts real quick?
Alrighty.
Yeah, if you want to do a dab, and I'm going to take like about
Just a few minutes.
I'm going to do a quick shout out to all my shot things, and then we'll get that done. So you take your time on that.
Oh, we can hear that torch. You dabbing with a torch, huh? You gotta look. Our new little toy right here, the Focus V, Carta.
Oh, I have used the Focus.
Quick game on
We were using Puffcos for a while, and I did my judging for the Cannabis Cup on a Puffco, and I got home. I went to my wife. I said, "Honey, I want you to try a dab on my new Puffco here." I loaded her up a dab, and I got that rainbow. You broke it. What'd you do?
I have literally a Puffco graveyard because I go through so many of the batteries.
I just killed mine on the beginning of the show. So there you go. And I thought of you right away. I thought of your little photo the other day. I was like, damn.
I'm not okay with that though, you know. So I went to the mall. I bought an atomizer for $45. I felt terrible, and then I saw that they were selling the Focus V at Mile High Pipe and Tobacco for $250. And so I just went down and I bought one, and then I found out, do you know they have a lifetime atomizer? You can pay an extra $60 and you never have to change the atomizer again. So a Focus V Carta, guys, if you're listening, we like your product.
Meaning you can't burn it out, or meaning you can you just keep getting new ones?
Just replace.
You just keep getting new ones.
No, it says on there it's absolutely guaranteed. It's not supposed to burn out. I didn't go into it to see,
Usually when it says lifetime replace, they just replace.
They're just throwing them at you like fucking rain. Like, don't talk about us, please.
I mean, once Puffco explained to me that like you don't need huge dabs in the Puffco and it's just overflowing into the battery.
Right.
They started lasting me a lot longer. Like I needed to be explained that huge dabs in the Puffco don't work.
Bro, I love you, man. I was talking to Mark before the show, and I just said,
how do you take dabs?
I said to him, I said, you want to know
You know what I'm talking.
why he breaks his Puffco all the time is because he takes dabs the size of like nickels. I mean, they're huge dabs.
Less is more with that.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I'm going to put you on mute for a second there, bro, and I'm going to pull you back in a few minutes. I'm just going to do these shout-outs so we can get that over with. And
Perfect.
while everyone's
All
still
right,
paying
Adam.
attention, hang in
All
there,
right.
hang in there. All right. Let's do a quick shout-out to our buddies over at First, of course, New Millennium.
Millennium.
Amazing fucking service. These guys are killing it. Every time I see somebody who contacts them, they get like all this fucking free shit. I'm like, dude, why is not everybody who listens to the show contacting them and saying,
You got to call up New Millennium Nutrients.
just go, dude, done deal, bro.
Done deal.
Throw it at them. They're gonna fucking love you.
Yeah, just try it out. I'm sure
yeah,
they'll
man.
send you a pack.
pet packs. They got these awesome fucking little deals where you can check out all the different products. And
But you don't need to be intimidated too. If you're a new grower, you can call them. They'll help you out. They'll tell you how to mix, how to apply. They're
just go to the
they're very
website.
patient.
Go to the fucking website. That's
Yeah.
the way to do it. Website, simple. Boom, boom, boom. Don't even need to talk to anybody. Just be like, boop, millennial.
Yep. NewMillenniumNutrients.com.
New millennial. I'm like, millennial. New millennial.
And we do give them shit for their font, but it's not the font. It's what's in the bottle of nutrients that you're buying, and it's the shit.
No, and I love the font. I mean, I think it's super dope. It's just one of those things where unfortunately it's spelled wrong, and
It doesn't look like the.
that's usually a problem. But
Yeah.
that's what happens when you try to make flippy deals that go upside down.
I keep waiting for you to say that you designed that logo for them.
I kind of would have. That's totally my like. I would have. That looks like something I would have done and misspelled it. Oh, totally would have been my style. But been using it. Mom loves it. It's mother approved.
Mother approved.
Can work with other products like Budswell and things we already use. They have a couple other they have a couple different lines they do, which is like the Pro line, the fucking simple line.
Simple line.
Once again, done deal.
And you
Every
can go
time.
to NewMillenniumNutrients.com.
Booyah. And our buddies over at Incredible Extracts. Incredible.
Love you guys.
Are the fucking #1 extracts here in Colorado, all over the fucking country in different places. Hitting the world, man.
I love Incredibles.
Yeah. They're the
.com.
bomb. He loves Incredibles. This is one of the guys. He eats half of them. So
You know, you
half
got to
the-
go back.
Half their weekly.
From someone who
income.
talks about strains that he loves from back in the day, these were really the first professional edibles that I tried in Colorado, and every time I took them, it was the same experience.
And that's
there were
important.
other brands out there at the time, certain beverage companies out there, that it just was not a consistent experience throughout the product. And Incredibles figured out a way to really standardize a dose. And I think they're a fantastic company.
and they're all super on point with that. Like every single piece you break off, it tells you exactly what's on it, which is important because you have to do that here in Colorado. So Colorado got strictest rules, almost like it's because they got the oldest rules. They've been through the gamut. So you're totally compliant, which is awesome. And on top of that, you can fucking, like I said, you can gauge exactly what you want, and they make their own, grow their own, process their own. Everything is their own in-house.
Yep.
That's the most important part.
And if you are someone who likes strong edibles in high milligram doses, the 50 milligram Incredibles gummy is a stellar product.
It's pretty funny. CCA had one the other day. Woke up the next day, didn't know why she was so.
Yeah, you told us that last
She
week.
could
That was
barely.
great.
She was like barely functioning. I was like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Oh yeah, it's that 50 mil gum you eat right before we went to bed." I was like, "Good timing." Done deals coming from them soon with a new product they're gonna be launching, and they told us they're gonna.
I actually was at a dispensary and they had some of the new products already on,
Oh, you already
on a
saw?
flyer. Yeah.
Did it say done deal all over it?
No.
What? Didn't say done deal?
Yeah, it was
Did you try
it was
the
in the
Done
month. No. I didn't go in the dispensary, but
okay.
I saw it on the flyer that they have for the month.
Yeah.
And so like they have a CBD line. It sounds like it's gonna be coming out, and it's already out in some stores in Colorado. It says on the flyer. So.
Oh, I think that's why they can do the done deal because
here
it's
come the
CBD
cops.
only, and they can get it. Now it's all making sense. See, penny drops on the show. Did you hear that live? Hear those live? Wee. They're coming. They're coming for us already.
People listening to it. Wait, what's
Somehow
going
we
on?
haven't. Well, we haven't been smoking too hard, so we have
No.
we have to work that up. Of course, next on our list
Next on our list
is Build a Soil. These guys are the top.
BuildASoil.com.
Unbelievable service from these guys, unbelievable product lines, all stuff you can't find anywhere else. Super good to work with, and it's one of those people like if you can talk to anybody who works there, which is awesome, and it's like they all grow, so they all know what's up. It's not like you're gonna have to deal with only one guy, but if you do get stuck 9 when he's stuck. But if you actually get through to Jeremy himself, it's like fucking a wealth of knowledge because the guy knows what's up. He's been helping people for years, and he's been doing some big projects as far as like he can if you throw 10,000 acres at him, he'll make it happen.
He
So
has a solution for you.
yeah, which is like, nothing scares him at this point.
No, and if you're in Colorado, New Mexico, free shipping.
Exactly. I don't know about the
Free shipping.
100,000 pounds soil.
No, well,
yeah, that'd be good.
they'll work some out. Ask for the done deal. You
Done
never
deal.
know. They'll
Done
work
deal.
some out.
Hey,
with you.
yeah. By the way, done deal. Most importantly, done deal. of
Most
course.
importantly. No, great company, by the way.
And yeah, I think they're going to be here for the. They'll be down, of course, with a booth set up over at the Indo Expo. So
That's coming up 2 weeks, right?
yeah, exactly. So they'll be in town. So maybe that Friday we'll have a little sesh with everybody. I'll be hopefully coming in hot from my trip. So as usual,
Yeah.
maybe I'll be the last guy there. Come on now.
We'll do the Adam Dunn show without Adam Dunn.
It could happen. It's been known to happen. But
No.
we have to do call-ins anyway, probably next couple of weeks. So it's going to be one of those. We're all back in our little houses with our little green screens.
Portable green screen.
I love how the thought of him doing a show by himself just terrifies him.
No, I'm not. It's not happening.
Dude, it scares him real bad.
It's not happening.
Ain't happening, dude.
Nobody wants to hear. They don't. Most of the people don't even want me sitting next to you, let alone doing a show by myself. So forget about it. It ain't gonna happen.
No, I'll be there. I'll be there floating around. I'll be bigger than you at least. So I'll be like, dun,
yeah.
dun, dun, dun.
There you go.
You'll be the tinfoil hat that goes on top.
We could do that.
Yeah.
We have time. We have the technology now. Again, IPM, anything like that. Talk to Build a Soil. They're the fucking shit. BuildASoil.com, 855-877-SOIL. No, because then we're locked in.
That door. Insert a shout out to the Breckenridge Organic Therapy guys, but they didn't pay their heating bill, so it's fucking freezing
we're
in
trying
here.
not to have to blow the whole place out. You can shut it halfway a little bit.
I don't think you're done smoking your blunt. That's okay.
I don't have a blunt.
Just fucking freezing.
All right.
Yeah. See these guys.
Look, he's cold.
Yeah,
He's-
they're like
He's a bitch.
They left
I'm
the room
fine.
because it was freezing.
I'm wearing hoodlum. See, hoodlum.
I'm a big pussy.
Look, we're all hoodlumed up. None of us care. Like we're all just.
Some of us don't have a one.
Well, unfortunately,
they don't make them in my size.
They don't make them in your size anymore.
Yeah,
No,
that's it.
it.
So
I think Pinsky bought them all at one point. You could probably get one from him.
Oh well, that might be a little big on me.
Now that he's LA style, he must have lost.
would
a bunch
never
of,
wear
he
that.
must have. He must.
No,
be
he didn't.
He must be perfectly like chiseled and trimmed now, living in the West Coast so long. Is what I imagine.
They have In-N-Out Burger out there. There's no way he's felt.
No, he has not.
No. Look, we're getting
look at
move
that.
it along,
I know,
move it
I know.
along.
We can't because we got the bro waiting on us. We
Green
can't let the
Farms.
bro- Oh, thanks to Green
Co.
Farms Co.
GreenFarmersMed.com.
GreenFarmsMed.com. Fuck!
You screwed us all up.
It's fucking awesome, by the way.
This thing's off again. Jesus Christ!
It turns off after 30 minutes. It's a safety.
Oh my God! It's because I wasn't using it. How do you do it? What do you do? Do it. Don't break it. Don't break it.
No.
So Green Farms, thank you for giving us this super high, like I talked about earlier, 20.
It was a huge terpene profile.
20.77% terps.
That's crazy, man.
Rosin, super clean, super fresh, and also some of this other interesting stuff. Let's see what else we had here. That was this one, the country fruit, actually, they're calling it. And
It's actually really cool that they put the terpenes on there because a lot of places in Colorado still don't.
Yeah, and this is at the medical facility, which you can go to if you are have a med card here in Colorado. Also, super dope packaging, which is like made out of hemp. Look at that hemp packaging. Come on,
It is really neat, and I got to tell you that
Telling you.
the consistency of the concentrate it's different. I mean, it's really
clean
thick.
as fuck. It's clean as fuck.
Yeah.
And then this is some butter from them also. So they've got
Wow.
some, and they're putting out some fire. But the thing is, it's all no-till grown. Nothing sprayed on the plant from the day that it's put into flower. Like they don't even really spray anything. They only put like little essential oils and stuff in the very, very beginning, and that's pretty much it. And the plant's just.
We'll have to go down to Colorado Springs, take a look at their grow.
Oh sure, we can do a little tour one day.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. It's possible.
Thank you guys at Green Farms.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh,
Done
everyone's
deal.
excited. Done deal.
Done
We're doing
deal.
it. Road tripping.
Road tripping.
But you can also go to their Green Farms Feed and Seed in Louisville and pick up some organic growing inputs and fucking do it yourself. No-till, any of those things. They actually got a ton of products from Build a Soil, which is awesome. It's like to see the cross pollination, and the fucking Build a Soil also carries our other which we'll talk about later.
Talk about it later.
Our other sponsor. So yeah, they're all just cross-pollinating over there.
Sweet.
So go to greenfarmsmed.com and check them out. And
You got that right. Holy shit.
And Dunn Deal it. As usual.
Greenfarmsmed.com.
At both places, Dunn Deal, of course. You got to do
Dunn
that.
Deal.
Got to do it. And our friends over at Treasure.
Treasure. Pete. Hey,
Pete,
Pete.
pick the fucking phone up, Pete. Jesus Christ. Every time I call him, it's like the other day he told me, I'm just getting everybody out. I'll give it. And I was like, I have to get my headphones. And I'm like, and then like an hour and a half later, I'm like, where are you fucking getting your headphones? In like Russia or something?
No, he ordered them from Alibaba.
And then he's like, I'll be right there. And then nothing. So, Pete.
They have Amazon in Treasure. I mean, he could have ordered Amazon. It could have been the same day delivery, and it never showed up by drone or something.
I don't know. Pete, just fucking pick up your phone. That's all I got to say.
But you do save €30.
Yep. You walk up to the door there. You say, bing, you open the door. Hey, what's up? Done deal. Oh, my God. Door opens up.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it gets crazy.
I seen it happen.
Yeah.
They're like, what are you doing? They're like, getting weed. Then
I
all of a
need
sudden
some
you
weed.
buy
Yeah, it was
weed.
weird.
Some hash.
It was weird watching someone else get the done deal. Like they
Yeah.
walked up, said done deal, and I watched it happen. I was like, wow, this is great.
Damn. Did you get a nickel? Did anybody hand you a nickel?
No,
No.
no one gives me anything.
No.
I got a dab from you earlier. Thanks.
And so
Let's heat it up.
it's heated up again. All right,
Yeah.
good. So we'll go back to that.
Yeah, Treasure. How are they? I don't recall seeing dab rigs at Treasure. What's their deal there? Is that
I think.
bueno or no
I
bueno?
don't know. I think it's totally bueno.
Because
Hella bueno.
there's something going on in Amsterdam, right? With dabbing is changing.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Amsterdam's always been weird about it though, because their whole thing is they don't like oil, because basically people like Neville blew themselves up in fucking apartments there and like lived above and below people. You know what I mean? And it's like these little tiny houses, and everybody uses fucking natural gas there. So you have this little fucking pilot light in every house, and so if somebody's upstairs doing anything and the shit's falling down, you fucking end up with an explosion, blows the building up. They had that happen in the 70s. It was almost like the original Botards, but they were pre-Botards.
Botards.
Anyway, not to get off the fucking subject.
We got the bro on the line, remember?
Bro's on the line.
Okay,
Sorry
Bro's
about
on the
that.
line.
We're
Sorry,
coming
well, we're
back.
doing dabs too, bro.
Yeah,
bro.
let's dab it.
All right, go to Treasure in Barcelona.
Ask for the done deal.
Ask for the done deal and be amazed. That's all
And you can ask any cab driver there to take you to Treasure. They know how to get
And
there.
they'll be like, "What? You getting the done deal when you're still?" Oh,
You
yeah.
can follow him on Instagram at treasure_BCN.
Treasure, yes, and the Instagram, and also on Twitter. No.
I don't know. I don't think so.
We're on Twitter,
All
though,
right.
aren't we?
We are on Twitter at the Adam Dunn Show currently. I'm gonna probably change it. I just haven't had a chance yet.
I don't even have Twitter, dude. So
We'll take the off.
maybe I'll
of
get it now. Maybe I'll get it now.
Yeah, you should. All right.
I guess I have to.
Extract craft.
Extract Craft.
Got in touch. Well, actually, they got in touch with me the other day, and so we're gonna have them, like I said, come on soon, show us what's up. We're lame. We basically, I have this machine sitting around. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't fucking get the time to fucking.
Well, what we said last week, it actually, the timing of it could
only
work.
3
That if we started it right at the beginning of the show,
Mm-hmm.
we could be finishing with an extract. Right?
Yeah, it's so. Like Neville blew himself up.
Yeah.
He did though. He had a fire. He got burned. He actually got burnt a little bit. So he
We can have Steve on the show to tell the story. I mean, I
no,
think
it
he was
definitely-
there.
No, Steve was not there.
Well, he was real close by.
Well, lucky you can't blow yourself up with this thing.
No, this is the opposite. You don't.
Absolutely
It's
not.
all in fucking designed here in Colorado. Super easy to use.
Safe.
Don't ask me because I'm not the guy, because I'm fucking too busy as fuck. But I know I was waiting on my material, and I was like, no, I'm gonna do it the best I can have. Not fucking. It's like anything. It's just what you bring in is what you get out, right?
Yeah.
You have the best material, you're gonna get the best material out. You put a bunch of swag in there, you're gonna get a bunch of swag out. So just don't do it. Use the best. And with Extract Craft, you get some pretty fucking amazing results. Get yourself a little fucking back oven, and you can make yourself dabbable, snappy fucking.
Well, let's not
terpy,
step
whatever.
over the fact of how safe it is. You're not going to blow yourself up and in a state where it used to happen all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to turn the news on every morning and we used to go, oh, look, there's another doofus that blew
Plus
himself
with the
up.
alcohol extraction stuff, you can make some awesome edible material too. So that's one of those things where you're like, okay, now, it's food grade all the way. And the best way to get the food grade stuff is to get with our other sponsor. We kind of go parallel with these guys, so we can just go back to back. Boom, Extract Craft, done deal, of course, when you order from them, and talk to these guys over at 420 Extractor if you want to .com, right? 420extractor.com.
Yep.
And they have ready to use fucking alcohol for these machines. So. Great combination, and again, they're gonna when we do a show with them, we're gonna do them both together. So
Maybe we'll do that show drinking.
no, I don't
No,
drink,
okay.
so I'm not gonna drink for that.
No
Definitely not
alcohol.
drinking 190 proof fucking grain alcohol on a show. When I don't
I was
drink.
thinking maybe a beer. I haven't had a beer in a long time.
You can have a beer. You can do whatever you,
can
want.
do whatever you want.
Do whatever the fuck you want.
Oh no! Look, they're
look
trying
at
to get
that.
me cider. No,
Right
that's
there.
cider, right?
You can have it. if you
Yeah.
want.
No.
Now he's fucking talking.
Yeah.
Big talk, no action. Right
Of
here.
course I am. You don't
This
want
guy.
me drinking. I'd be even dumber than I am right now.
You can't go there.
Yeah,
all right.
we'll go there.
Done deal, like I said, whenever you contact these people, and let's get the ball rolling.
Okay.
And of course, our big, yes, till the 10th.
Okay. All right.
No, we'll save them. We'll save them.
Our next sponsor, seedtiernow.com.
Seedtiernow.com.
Ba-boom.
Dun, 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 dun. Check with them for all their specials. Use the done deal. I don't know how long it'll last. We'll see how good.
Big
how it
Twitter
goes.
following.
But check them out. Go to seedtiernow.com. Done deal. Pick up the best strains from the best breeders. They have their own forum there, so you can check the people out direct. You don't have to fuck around, and even ask the people who are just doing what they do, which is the best in the business. If you have anything fucking go wrong, they'll replace it. Nice, clean, smooth packaging, which is important, and
Discreet.
they've had to deal with a million things to get their shit rolling, right? And I've already seen other people trying to start their, how do I get this thing? It's like, you don't even know the hell you're going into right now, my friend, because they've had to fucking steer their way through a bunch of bullshit, which is good. And that makes it possible to have now fucking super secure shipping, super secure fucking everything rolling, like all their fucking merchant account stuff super tight, which is important. Because sometimes it's like, that's the fucking Achilles heel for all these industry things. Is like, how do you
They've
make
got it figured out. They're a professional organization. Check them out at seedtiernow.com.
That's the way.
Just pick out a strain you like. I think they even have some of yours up there, don't they?
They do have some of my strains.
Yeah.
They have some in the BOGO section, I think. I saw this, somewhere in a post. I was like, hey, those are me.
Very nice.
Buy one, get a 5-pack of THC Spring CBD mix of Sage CBD and LA Sage
Sweet.
Oh, well, let's see.
CBD.
CBD versions. And
Right.
there's something else, too. There's something else. I know.
Just going through here.
Just go to seedtiernow.com.
More. I want to hear more of me.
Seedtiernow.com. Oh, more of Adam Dunn seeds.
No, I
Yeah,
don't
look at
care.
that.
You don't see anything. You're lying. I'm
No,
just-
there they are.
No, those aren't me.
No,
Those aren't you?
Those aren't you.
That's not me.
I can say they were
Just
you.
looking.
Never mind. Doesn't matter.
All
Okay.
It's all good.
It's all good.
I thought I had more. I thought I had more.
Wait.
It's
Ooh.
okay, but not to
Illuminar.
number one sponsor, Illuminar. They are in the driver's seat these days. Boom, they're fucking doing it
Thank
big,
you, guys.
going hard. Coming out with this new controller, which is super dope. Obviously connected to your phone, so you just don't have to do anything now. Just sit around and lounge around and look at your plants. Hopefully you can roll some joints.
You got to
up.
visit their
Let's roll a joint.
website and get the word of the day or the word of the month, so that
Word
you
of the
can write in for a lamp that we're going to give away at the end of the month.
Yep, every last Friday of the month here on the Adam Dunn Show, we give away three. What is it?
315?
315. Jesus Christ!
Wow,
my brain
man.
Double-ended
my brain just
315.
stopped right there. I was like,
No more
ceramic
joints for
metal,
you.
ceramic metal halide. No, because I was just thinking like, what am I rolling? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And again, I got to put it out there. If you are a past winner of the lamp, we'd love to see some photos of that in action. Send in
I've seen a few that
pictures
have
of your
already
garden.
harvested. They've already harvested. So.
Well, I'd like to see pictures of the lamp installed, working, and I'm sure the guys at Illuminar would love to see it too.
Sure.
And we'd also love to see your finished product. And,
Of
you know,
course.
if you're ever in Colorado,
Bring it to us.
bring it on over.
There you go. That's what it's all about. That's why we
Yeah.
do this, in the high hopes that we'll end up one day with a fucking
No, man.
joint back. Be like, yes.
All right.
20 lamps later.
So
But no, it's been
get
really
those
good.
emails
Every month we've nailed it. We've had real dedicated people.
Yeah.
And just all you have to do is write like a fucking paragraph or two.
No, you
Like,
have to write a poem.
No.
That's the
No.
only way to win right
That
now
was
is
a
a
good-
poem at
that
the
poem.
Or a
That
battle
was-
rap. A battle rap is good too.
Ooh. Yeah.
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 Run DMC felt form 1985,
Oh
baby.
wow, there you go.
Battle
That's
rap
me.
would be dope. Yeah. Whatever.
Alrighty. So let's
More likely, I'd rather let you got fucking
Yeah.
flood it out and fucking start over.
I'm gonna patch the bro in and
Patch bro.
Wait,
Thank you.
we have a new sponsor. Come on. What about our new sponsor? 14er
Oh, 14
Holistics.
Boom.
Oh, 14
Ba-boom.
Ba-boom.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus
Right here.
Christ. Look
Yeah,
at this.
14er Holistics.
here.
They're
What
kicking
we
us
got?
down some amazing concentrates from 14er
Yes.
Manufacturing.
Ooh, this one smells
It's their Squish.
Yeah.
We have Tropicana. We have Moonshine Haze.
took a dab of that Tropicana. It was good.
That was sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the other strain? And Stronana. And they're fire concentrates, and I can't stress enough, if you haven't tried any of their products, you have to head down to their store.
Yeah, I know that we all buy from our, whatever. But this is good dispensary weed, man, for sure. Like,
Yeah.
Fire.
definitely dig it.
Yep. Thanks, guys, for jumping on board, helping us out.
Yeah.
And then
keeping
the
us-
guys at Breckenridge Organic
Of
Therapy
course,
for really
right now,
hooking
just
us up
right this week.
with the really nice studio for the day and
Yeah.
trying to get us drunk with this cider.
No, ain't gonna happen.
And they brought some fantastic herb too that
That's
we're going to
what-
roll up right
That's when I'm
now.
gonna start rolling because I was like, wait a minute, why are we looking at all this weed? So, what do we got? I see some Chem, gelatos, things like that. All right, bro, we got your back up.
Yeah, he's up.
Yes,
All right.
you do.
All right, sorry for that fucking.
Got to pay for the show somehow.
Yeah, that
Gotta
was
pay
it.
the bills, man. I
Gotta,
got you.
gotta pay those bills. So we were talking about you loving life back in the day, but there wasn't always love in life. Tell us, because I know the bro. This is one of the reasons that I think you have kind of faded off a little bit. There was, you had some serious shit happen to you, and then you.
Yeah, I get a lot of questions like, who the fuck is this guy? Where'd he come from? Like all of a sudden, And
Yeah.
It's like, basically, the sours caused some more issues. I was living in New York City. I was growing a sour out in Brighton Beach on Neptune and 8th, like in the middle of a Russian neighborhood.
Sure.
I was dating this woman,
Sherbet?
girl, whatever you want to call her.
Sherbet octane.
And
Nightmare.
and she, so we're living in New York City on the Upper West Side. We're I have a lot of Mexican in the house, but there's just a smell of sour from smoking it nonstop would waft through the building, and there were some younger kids that lived below us that had like a trap spot with like dirt, dirt weed, and eventually some things happened, and they made a move on the house when I was in Brighton Beach. I got a call that people were pounding on the door. I was like, just don't answer the door, I'll be home. And, I finished up my work. I went back to the city. I came in the house. I was tired from working. I was bitching at her because it was just one big problem. And next thing, the door starts pounding again. And probably I should have known better, but I just wasn't in the right frame of mind. I just whipped open the door, and I was like, what the fuck you want? And the guy stuck a .38 hollow point revolver to my head with a hollow point, pulled the trigger. Basically, it ricocheted off my head, went into the wall.
See, I told
my
you. That's
apartment-
because of the sour diesel, bro.
Whoa.
The thickness of the skull from the sour
Well, yeah,
diesel.
they said the bullet didn't get enough velocity. If that's, I don't really get the whole gist of it. I really don't care. I just know I'm still here.
Yeah,
I must be here for another reason.
Right.
But with that happening, basically that night, I got sent to the tomb. I got sent to Lenox Hospital on the east side. I got sent to the Tombs, locked up with bandages on my head. There was 75 pounds of Mexican in my apartment that were loafed in 25-pound bales. So that's what the kids were coming to take when they shot me in the head. But I had thrown the kids back out of my house, closed the door, secured the area. I went to throw the bales out the window, and there was hundreds of kids because there was a high school across the street, Brandeis High, standing there telling, throw the law. So I said, fuck it, I'm not giving these up. So I went to the front room in my house. I left the weed there, hid it, and I went to the Tombs to jail. They came down to me and like, we found a whole bunch of weed. I said, yeah, I bet you did. And they found like 2 pounds of shake in the closet. They
Nice.
never uncovered the bales. I don't know how.
That's awesome.
But
That's quality
So I got
policing.
arrested.
right there.
Way better than throwing it to a hungry crowd. Imagine what
well,
that would-
yeah, you know. So
Imagine-
I made the girl once we got let out. I made her go up in the place and grab a suitcase and take the shit out of there because I was just done with it. I was just done with the whole situation. But that evening, I got home out of the hospital, and a buddy was there that, you know, he dabbled in heroin. I had boycotted white herbs or white powders, and just my whole life I was always against that stuff. Well, that night I was so confused and just baffled about what happened. I decided to snort a little dope, and I was like, "Wow, this is cheap and this feels good." And you know, one bag turned into 10 years, and I basically just had to get my spirituality right and my focus right and find something greater than myself, and that's where I am today.
Good for you.
You know, and that's one of those super hard, obviously, demons to fucking beat, right? So it's like, unfortunately, when you sort of mention like she and her and all those things, I know who you're talking about. The rest of the people here don't know who you're talking about. Unfortunately, I think that was your worst. That was probably your worst problem, was having, you know, being surrounded by other people who were more into dope, right? I mean, that also was
Absolutely. I mean, I used to be the poster child against this stuff. Like, it all just rolled into one that night. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's a hard demon to be once you're caught up and you're sick and you're in that vicious cycle. And it's just, you know, I'm not making excuses. It is who I am today. It made me stronger. Maybe it's like, but it's part of who I am.
But also, when you say like a ricochet off your head and fucking I mean, still you were like in the hospital for X amount of time. How long was that?
Overnight, then they released me to the tombs. They handcuffed me to the bed in the hospital.
Oh.
But the thing is, they found like 3 pounds of shake or so, but they didn't charge me because I had 30 glass bongs in my apartment from just smoking, you know, new bongs every time we wanted to smoke.
Right.
So they were like, okay, there's no scales. You guys got all these pipes. So I'm like, yeah, you know, we just smoke. So they just gave me like a possession charge.
Right.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Oh, that's good.
I took care of that I just took care of that a couple of years ago in New York. I had a active warrant for 20-something years.
Yeah, that's that's crazy.
Glad you got that cleaned up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the judge was like, you know, if you had answered this back then, it would have been a whole different situation. But now just pay us the fines and go on your way. So it was a good thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, it's like the one time having a shitload of bongs is in your favor. You're like, look, I have 30 bongs. They're all dirty. Means that I smoke
Well, I just used to buy these
30
like
times
cases
this
from
or
Jerome
30 times
Baker.
that. You know?
I would just buy tons of glass from Jerome Baker, just keep it in my apartment, just smoke, add them, give them to people.
Shout
you
out
know?
to Jerome Baker.
Like
Shout
a
out to
art.
Jerome Baker.
Look at that. Free shout outs right there. Boom.
Well, he'll be getting
You know,
a really
these are
big
people that have been in
shout
my
out.
life for a long time. It's like, it's not even a shout out, it's natural just to mention them.
Well, that was the thing. Those were those years, you know, those 91, 92, 93, all those kind of like the magic cannabis years, in my opinion, just because of the fact that it was like a lot of good strains popped up. Seemed like everybody was kind of getting on the same page for once.
Dead Tour helped bring it around the country.
And there you go.
I want to say I met Jason on his way to India, maybe at your shop at the KGB or the CIA there, Adam.
Yeah, could have been.
Maybe.
Yeah, could have been. I mean, well, they were hanging with me for a while. Like, he came with his crew and he set up next door, and then he would like bring pieces to my shop and sell them there, and we had like a whole.
Yeah, this was before there was any tubes, and you know they just had whatever was left over from the head shops before they started bringing all the tubes over. I think he was passing through, and that's when I actually met him.
That man is incredibly talented, by the way. I love following his Instagram feed, and some of the glass he's been blowing lately is just off the charts. I mean, sick.
Pioneer.
Yeah. He's actually making one for us for if we could get this electric rig working fun. We're gonna attach a camera to the end, and we're gonna have dab cam.
Back to the old day. Hey, come on, you're talking to to Keith. Keith knows all about the fucking Trichrome challenge.
Now you have
bring it all back.
challenges.
Yeah, he knows all about that. He was one of the. But he
Super Cereal Sundays.
Yes, you're one of the few.
How about that?
You're one of the few that remembers that. It was actually Serial Killer Sundays, is what it was. Serial Killer.
Or whatever. You're the only guy that could sell a cereal for $10 a gram. I loved it.
It wasn't that extreme, but it was close. Yeah, it was like I think
guilders
it was like
loved
six cents a gram. Or
Well,
something.
10 guilders a
Yeah,
gram, that's like 32 cents.
I would bring the boxes of cereal over and then buy them from Adam by the gram. How about that?
Yep, I would hustle him on. I custied him. I custied him on his own cereal that he brought me.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great.
No, it was fun because Keith was coming over when we were like living probably the most like feral living conditions possible, like cutting holes in fucking walls and just like whatever, like cut a hole here and connect, because we lived like in we had like 3 properties at one point, all next to each other, and it was really fucking weird.
You guys went native.
You remember that whole spot?
I had no room, and Victor put up a wall within like 10 minutes, if I remember correctly. Like, there was no room where I had been.
And we had the
Just like put up a wall back there.
we had the Anne Frank room, and we had we had all sorts of spots around there. You remember all that, right?
Of course, and then the inspectors asking how they can get over to the grow room over there. We're like, we don't know, because the entrance was like a magnetic door in the closet.
Yeah, exactly. But there was footprints going into the closet, like a fucking.
It's like an Indiana Jones wall.
It looked like a tunnel.
Spins around.
Yeah, it was just like.
No, that's Hans and Franz going in and out of there. They should have known better.
Right. No, we were definitely at the sort of interesting spot in time, I think, and that's kind of what also nowadays, we're just at that phase where, some of those things were good times and some of those were bad, and you just forgot about them,
Absolutely. Like, I tend to forget a lot of stuff, but it comes back to me now and then.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also, like you were saying earlier, a lot of people that were over there were literally on, running from something, and I always got, and now the funny thing is, I got there so young that I never got in trouble, and I got there and kind of thought, okay, this is the place I won't get in trouble for a while. But you can still do it, obviously, since you managed to get yourself deported. Did you get deported twice or once? What was the deal?
Well, we got shut down the second time. I wasn't there, actually. What's his name? Manny was there, and Coralie was there. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't there, so it got shut down, and they got sent home.
Right, but you got it the first time or something like that, right?
Yeah, the first time I was deported, never to go there for more than 3 months at a time.
Yeah, and Victor did the same thing. I think he got twice, though. He managed to somehow do it twice, which is like, okay. Came back, walked right back in, and ended up getting it again. So when you went through this whole dark period of your life or whatever, and you were with that chick and everything was kind of shitty, was there still sour in your life then, or was it kind of like you were just didn't give a fuck?
Yeah, but it was like bad mojo sour. The shit would grow like we were dope addicts, and then like it was just shit. You put your energy into the pot, that's what comes out as far as I'm concerned. And we weren't putting very good energy into anything besides our nose. Mm-hmm. So. Well, yeah, that's. But yeah, I mean, it funded the habit for a while until we couldn't even hold that up. Like. Yeah. We got so spun out in Brighton Beach, like the guy shut us down, and we couldn't even finish that. So like it just basically tumbled over time, into a snowball effect. Sure, it did what smack does. It just fucked people up over. Well, it's almost like having a sour. I don't know. I don't want to say that, but anyhow.
Oh, you could say whatever you want to say. Go ahead.
No,
it's a blessing and a curse at times. It's a lot of weight on your shoulders. Yeah. If that makes any sense, and I don't know. So it could be okay. So now, would you mind if we brought in AJ and had him call in and fucking had a chat? I don't listen. Because I know he's in the wings. I know I saw him in the wings here, and I talked to him the other day, and I said for sure he can come on, but I'm not gonna. I don't like blindsiding people, but at the same time, I think it's also like one of those deals where, people like to talk shit, and at the end of the day, I think it needs to be kind of like. The reality is, when I met everybody, you guys were all came in together, and as far as I was concerned,
you know, it wasn't that like I never considered you to be the grower. I always considered you to be the kind of the ringmaster or something, you know, of the fucking kids.
Yep.
And that's a tough fucking thing to do because you have to pay all the bills and all the fuck up things and, you know, make it all work. And
Dad.
you know, yeah, kind of.
Well, I was going to say, Joe was kind of his own entity. He lived on the east side. Like, his father put him up in a dormant apartment. Like, I don't, you know, like, it's a little different than us in upstate, so.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time for a kumbaya moment, and everyone will get along, and we'll just we'll hug it out.
This is like the Wu-Tang Clan. Nobody wants to get along.
Hold on. I gotta see. I will give him.
That's
a call.
important, man. You guys have done so much for the community and provided such greatness that it's we'd love a kumbaya moment.
Kumbaya,
My Lord.
What's that?
Someone singing, my Lord.
Kumbaya.
I can only patch people in if you give me the number to call them.
You need a number to call?
I know. I got it.
Is that how phones work, Mark?
I got it going on.
Oh.
Here you go.
Here it comes. Maybe don't say it out loud, though.
No, we wouldn't do that. We wouldn't do that. Hold on one second.
So while we're looking for this number, for those of you out there, if you could give Breckenridge Organic Therapy a call and say you heard about it here, and just call them up, say, hey, I want to get the Dunn deal the next time I come in, and I'd like to spend a lot of money in your store or something like that. But they are really selling the fire. If you're going skiing, great place to stop by before you hit the slopes. They're sitting here, right? So they can come over and talk if they want, but nobody wants to get on camera.
They don't want to get on camera. They're like, no,
They don't want to get on camera.
Nope.
They're standing there looking at us.
They're making shit
fun of
happen, though.
us,
They're making shit happen. That's the most important
They
thing.
provided us with a fantastic studio for the day.
No?
No?
Okay.
Not there yet?
We're calling them now.
We're
Okay.
dialing now.
We're dialing in. Let's see.
Dun dun.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. I know what, I saw him in here, so he should be up. He should be watching.
Hello.
Yo. There he is.
Hey now.
We got
Well, let's just get one thing straight. My
Uh-oh.
father never put me up anywhere, you know. I wish he had, but no. I had a nice apartment because I worked hard for it. Let's just set the record straight. You know, that's what's precious on my mind.
Okay, I got you.
And I don't disagree with anything the bro has basically said. I mean, you know, we could get into the minutia, but if that's his position, then I'm just left confused as to what he's so angry about. And it always seems like he's always trying to say that I'm somehow taking credit for being this creator and for being this source, right? But if
No, I've always heard you say
you have
that,
to
you
be
know, is a
illiterate
magic.
or unable to comprehend
He always
the
said it was
language, because if you've heard everything I've said is staunchly to the contrary. I call myself lucky, you know. I say things like right place, right time, lucky me, and I spent way more time than I care to correcting people that think otherwise. So having said that, let's have a discussion.
Bro.
Bro.
There he is. Okay, so we got the bro, and we got AJ on the line, and now everybody's under the same. Like we kind of all said, we all kind of agree on the transition of the seeded chem to the seeded chem to the, so you know, Manny popping the seed and things happening. But when it came to I think the thing is that you were a 24/7 promoter yourself, AJ. And
I was underground.
But still,
I
never
said to anybody, call this AJ Sour Diesel.
Oh no, I know that.
I was,
but I'm just saying,
I
you
was
always were.
I was
You
shocked
always were.
to find out that people were trading commodities with my name on it. You know, in 2013, when I found out that that this was some sort of that my name attached to that was some sort of global phenomenon. Because the last thing I ever wanted anyone to know is anything about me.
It's true. It's true in the sense that when I think of you as not ever putting and that's the thing is if you put your own name to it, then it's kind of when I think it's like, okay, well, it's when Scott OG came out, and then later Scott said he didn't name it after himself, he named it after the other Scott. I was like, come on, dude, you definitely named it after yourself. that you definitely named after yourself, you know. But the AJ Sour Diesel, like you said,
and you and I gave the bro every opportunity to come and tell his story years ago when I first came on your show, No one tried to sweep him under the rug or push him aside. You know, he has a big mouth. I don't know why he never wanted to come on sooner and tell his story. You know, or maybe it wasn't anyone else's job to tell his story except him. So good for him. He finally did it.
Bro,
There's never, better late than never. Or there's no time frame. Like, now is the time I've come to terms or whatever. Like, I wasn't emotionally or physically available back then. Now I am. It's like, I can't change the past. I can only create the future. So,
Word.
yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you why I didn't come out 10 years ago. I was spun out on dope, sucking my own dick. Like, I don't know.
whoa, I didn't know about that part.
Well, it is what it is, man. Like, laugh or not, bro. Addiction's serious business.
No, I know. I get it. No, and I think now it's just a matter of people getting their background of sour kind of like more clear than the fact that I think that probably what people would think is like, oh, he's trying to call AJ Sour like it's yours, like you own it or something.
Well, no, listen, I really wasn't. My concern wasn't to get myself recognized. My concern was why people like Manny and whatever wouldn't step up and say anything because they're like holier than now and whatever. It's just like, dude, you're not doing any justice to the struggles and shit we've endured over these years of pushing the cannabis agenda forward. It's just like, that irritates me more than anything Joe ever did, I'll tell you that. But he's stubborn and he's set in his way.
Joe.
Yeah, well, if you've been reading the comments during this interview, I think you just created even more confusion, because no matter how many times you lay it out plainly and speak clearly about what the history is, moments later people confuse everything, and
it's like when you win a cannabis cup. It's like when you win a cannabis cup and then like you're like ask everybody, so who won? I don't know. Like you're like, dude, it just happened 5 minutes ago. Yeah, I forgot, bro. Like, and then no one knows, and you're like walking around for like an hour till you figure it out. It's like, wow, that was really weird. No one remembered like 3 minutes ago. So yeah, in the cannabis world, it can be really tough to get people to fucking.
It's how 5:30 of you.
So, and a fair question. I have a fair question. Joe, where did you get your sour cup from? Is it a pheno? Is it a cutting from someone else? Like, how did you come into the mix? Through Bondo, or I just don't know that part of it, I guess. I'm not doubting you had some type of it. I just don't know how you got it.
The cut I have now came from the Upper West Side. So
gotcha.
It's the same cut. It's the same thing. It may be different than another cut you got somewhere else because it's 25 years old, but it's the same thing.
Right. So that came from the olive branch, basically. It just seems like smaller stuff. And just to correct one more thing, he used to call something Headband that was Mike Klopp's D1. It wasn't the sour. Did you say the B1?
The D1. Mike Klopp had something called D1, which now he calls Day Wrecker.
Okay, so that was the
Day
Wrecker.
That was the original Headband.
Okay, because that was what I was wondering about the Day Wrecker and thinking that might have been another rename or whatever. So that Day Wrecker was its own separate pheno that disappeared, or
the guy on the Upper West Side used to call his sour cotton candy.
Yeah, cotton candy, exactly.
Yeah, so and that's all within a few miles of each other, right? So imagine the name change and flip flopping after the fact.
It's kind of like the discussion from a couple of weeks ago, how you have these hotbeds of cultivation, of breeding and genetics, and it's not surprising that they didn't come out at the same time from the same regions. You guys were doing great work.
Okay, so here's something you guys can both agree on. Soma's fucking diesel has got nothing to do.
That's crazy.
It's got nothing to do.
I think that's the only thing we agree on.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a start.
Here we go. This is our
We
common
have
ground. Our common ground is we
have
all
the making of a bromance.
We all know that this fucking shit is some bullshit, right? So.
Yeah, bro. Listen, I've been going for so many years. I'm tired at this point. I don't have the energy for hate And like,
I wouldn't say
I'm not
hate.
angry.
There's
I
no
don't
hate.
know.
There's no hate. There's no hate. We just want to agree that fucking
No,
weed,
look.
that weed really has
he
nothing
hit
to do
me
with
up
it.
and he was like, "Hey, do you think you could give? Do you think despite all the things that have taken place in history, do you think you could give me a cut? I really could use one." And he said he had just had hip surgery. I rented a car. I drove upstate. I met him at a restaurant, bought him lunch, came in on the walker. We had a nice talk, gave him some cuts. And then the next thing I know, it's like, fuck you. So I don't know where that came from. I thought I just made a gesture of goodwill, and I was happy to let any, negative feelings from the past, whatever they were, lay by the wayside. As far as I'm concerned, like the song goes, there's few of us left, So I was happy just to bury the hatchet and seek camaraderie with somebody who may have been in competition with me in the past, but in the larger scheme of things and put into the context of the moment,
Right.
really should have made us allies. So that's what I was thinking the whole time. But I don't know where the signals got crossed. But then there was like some kind of beef that I didn't know how it got started. And then perhaps I stoked the flames once it did. But
being the asshole that you are, it's kind of hard, right? Yeah.
But let's just
sometimes I
take a
can't
big
put
bucket of
things out
water.
Yeah, you can't go and give asshole Joe too much shit and expect not something to come back.
So the flames got
If you
fanned.
start a fire, I tend to throw gasoline on it, but I certainly never wanted to have any bad feelings
We're going to take out the smoke.
or ill will.
We're going to take out the smoke extinguisher right now and put the fire to bed, pour some water on it. Let's kumbaya, have a hug, and realize that maybe, and maybe we heard it here first, maybe you guys could come together, do a collab, and create some new diesel that would come out between the two of you.
The bro edge.
Bring Adam Dunn along, and you'll call it like the Dunn diesel strain or something like that. You'll figure it out.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't know about that.
Vin Diesel will sue somebody?
Yeah. No, we'll
I mean, why not? Stranger things have happened, right?
Adam's like another Jeff Prince, he was there on the periphery. He's like
Absolutely. He was the guy that
he was a co-conspirator, didn't even know it.
I know, it's terrible. Every time I have a show with
I give the bro credit for introducing me to you, Adam, and that led to a whole road that I went down, going back and forth to Europe over the years. So
sure, and like I said,
I'm
that was the
surprised you
biggest.
didn't have Victor on.
Hey, I mean,
we don't need
Vic would be confusing the whole matter up. He'd be like,
what's going on?
Can you imagine between him and Keith and the stories and the combos? We would have it would get out of control. We may have to do it in the future, though.
I do like the name Dongle Diesel, though. That would be a good one.
Yeah, but no, it's good to see that. Like I said, when I met you guys, it was all on the same page. Every time I go back to New York, I'd always stay with you, AJ. Always had the felt like there was always that you were on the cutting edge. I felt of New York's cannabis sort of thing. Bro, like you said, everything kind of got crazy in your world, but at the same time, it was like. I was pretty much in Amsterdam. The only time I was in New York, I'd be at AJ, so obviously I wasn't running into you. so it's like one of those things.
Bro used to stay at my house back in the day all the time.
I sure did.
So we, that's why I don't understand. Like, what I don't front about anything. Like we were all there at the same time doing pretty much the same thing.
It's all bygones there. No need to rehash anything. All in the past now. All in the past.
It's not good for radio. You got to rehash stuff.
No. What's good for radio is talking about a collaboration of what the new genetic line that you two could come out with if you put your heads together and did something. That would be fun.
So Keith, Mo's listening. He said it's good to hear your voice there. So there you go. I've tried to.
I love you, Mo. I missed you, bro.
And that was the other funny thing is like between the knowing you guys and knowing Josh D and knowing those people, the people on the OG side, it was interesting to be in between those camps and realize like later on how big those things became. Like so like holy shit, both of it's like your two friends bands both fucking made it. You know what I mean? Or you're like holy shit, bro, everybody made it because that's the way these strains really were. It was like one of those things that actually got put on the map to the point where. If you look it up right now, if you Google top strains, Sour Diesel is number one.
Yeah.
It's like, are you fucking kidding me right now? That's,
Yeah.
That's crazy. After all this 27 years, it's fucking still considered the best plant in the world, even though we all are on the same page.
Yeah, but even back in the day,
Yeah,
like
and the
25
reason why
years
this
ago,
is all happening in the first place is back then we did all work together, and like it was like when I found something good, I knew that I had to put a certain portion of it aside for politics to share with the Albany guys, and and that's how this all came about in the first place was me finding Clop and then hooking those guys up with ChemDog, and sharing, because it's same thing is true today as it always was. It's like good weed is much better if you can like bring it to other people that also can validate and appreciate how good it is, because if you keep it all to yourself, part of the joy is seeing how excited everyone gets from it, and that's the way things were back then, and that's why we all got to see the best of what each of us could go out into the world and come up with. And that's how it all started, was with me finding JJ and Clop and cracking that nut open, and then everybody jumped in. Bondo then got on the train, and from there it all went.
Yeah, and then the rest was hermaphroditic history.
Yeah,
just that little bit, just had just enough in the plant to fucking make it work. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, fuck you. I'm gonna throw a few.
That's it. Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a few.
Struggle with survival. It's such a strong strain. It had to make sure it was going to keep alive so it pollinates itself, right?
Yeah, and that's the way I think. And then a lot of strains, the fucking sage does that if you let it go just an extra week. Like, oh come on, it's popping.
A lot of us, we've lived in service to these plants. Yeah, we're slaves basically, and yeah, it'll outlive us all.
What an amazing master we have.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great plant.
Exactly. It's like the best case scenario if you're going to be a slave.
Brought us all together. I can imagine that I smoked a lot of what you produced back in the 90s in New York City. It was So here's my way to say thank you to the both of you, and I'll say it again. You gotta come together and do a new strain.
Oh, stop!
Come on.
There'll be some.
Listen, how about coffee? If you're working on a strain, how about some coffee first? Jesus Christ!
Yeah, start with the
You want me to go all in?
Yeah, he's ready to go all in. But no, I think at the end of the day, it's interesting to see like that this this plant's fucking brought everybody pretty far, and also, almost 90% of the time, the only reason that people are pissed off about sour diesel is because they can't have it, right? And that's kind of that has been the fucking way it's been since day one. And you guys called it hard, just like it did just like what happened with the OG. Like I didn't realize it until, I brought it back to Europe and then kind of saw like, oh shit, this shit is like proven. It's tried and true at this point. You grow it right, you're a winner. And I think that's the deal with the fucking sour. Now, what are you up to right now, AJ? As far as you doing anything to fucking breeding projects or any other bullshit?
I've spent the last year and a half trying to resurrect the NL Special.
Oh yeah, from the Katsu, the old Katsu one, you mean, or?
I've been working with A5 lines, just trying to find make the best NL5 haze I can find. That's what I've been mainly working on, and a few other projects,
Right.
But yeah, that's what I've been working on, and obviously the usual, doing sour, and because that tends to be what people want to hear from me. But you know, I'm working on a lot of other projects on the side just for my own personal pleasure, which takes a long time. You know, at 85 days, you know, a clip. So the last couple of years, I've just, you know, I've grown haze twice. You know, so that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, it's not the easiest, and it's also like one of those things where if people don't want to pay for that fucking extra time, it really can't. It's not worth it. You know what I mean? It's like
no, I'm paying for it myself. You know, it's there's nothing to gain other than, you know, the satisfaction of the smoke.
That's enough.
Good to hear, though. Good to hear. Bro, what's going on?
Nothing. We're working hard. We're in the process of tissue culture in the sour.
Nice.
It's been going on for a few months. I went over to Amsterdam recently and hooked up with some old people like Steve Hayes and got some Neville seeds, the NL2, the NL5.
Steve gave up some of. He gave up some of Neville's seeds.
Yeah, I've known Steve a long time. We're close, and I kicked him a pitch, and he came off him.
Nice. You brought the right. You brought the right snack foods over. Is basically what you're saying.
Well,
Thomas's English muffins.
I saw you fucking buttering them up right out of the gate. You're like, yeah, exactly. You need your fucking
Bring Thomas's English muffins.
English
I
muffins.
just took my mother over there. She kills anyone with kindness. It's like.
That's the way to do it. So I got Mr.
But then,
Mr. Harris is on.
You know Bear?
Sure.
Bear, yeah, like I pitched him like my story, and like we talked for about a week. We hung out. I was over at a squash off with Bobby West and a bunch of other people, and I pitched him my story, and he's like, you know, not really, whatever. But we got to know each other in the week, and then he just came off with like a stack of seeds.
Sure.
From all sorts of stuff. He gifted them to me and said, you know, good luck.
Well, Bear's been strain hunting for 30 years out there. He has an extensive library. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so he's like, I gave you some gems. You know, go do your thing, bro. And that's where we're at now. I'm about to pop them all. I contacted Adam about some information recently, and we're going to roll out a line by next year.
Cool. So we have Mr. Harris on the line. I can see him there. He's in the fucking chat. So welcome. Jerome Baker.
Jerome Baker, everybody.
The illusion.
Look over here. Jason, we need something much better than this piece of shit glass that Adam brought today. This
piece of shit glass. Listen to that.
I'm saying
Illusions
that yours
is right now. Illusions is definitely not sponsoring the show now.
Yeah.
We're not getting any money out of
No.
it.
Let me hide this one. This is just a generic piece of glass. We want a real
beautiful.
Jerome Baker design.
Yeah.
No, this isn't a piece of shit. I was just speaking generically. How anything next to a piece that you would make would be fantastic.
We're bringing back the Trichrome challenge, there, fucking guys. So there you go. We're having the
sweet
cameras.
Trichrome challenge.
So hey, just so you know, just to take a little credit here, I was the one that gave you those bongs for the Trichrome challenge.
Yeah, you guys both hustled them over there for me.
Those are my bongs. Those I brought those bongs.
The graphics for us.
The old school graphics glass.
I know, the straight tubes. You guys are like heroes, man. And the down stems is what really ended up coming down in handy the most, because I started making the laminates, and then I'd use the fucking the outer tube for the down stem. You know, the fucking one that you'd be like, oh, this is perfect. So I used half of those for fucking lammies. So thank you for that. But yep, Trichrome challenge is coming back. Not really Trichrome challenge, but just gonna have the bong cam set up again. Just like we were 22 years old again. And that's what it's about, I guess.
22.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, just like 22. I don't think any of us
properly
aged.
I met you on my 21st birthday.
Nice.
Nice. I actually went on vacation with the bro on my 21st birthday, and that's the first time that we met, and
right.
And then I came back about a month later and brought you all those bongs,
nice.
And that's when the Trichrome challenge began.
Exactly. I was waiting on that. I was waiting on that because I had it all figured out, but I couldn't. You can't have one. You got to have competition bongs. You better have a bunch ready to go. And then I was trying to do the rent a bong, but that was a disaster. Because we didn't have a credit card machine, and there was no way to. No one wanted to leave a lot of money, and if they did, it would be Did
you see the place that Mark found in Denver that is going to do the Netflix of bongs?
Oh
right?
God, yeah! I went to go pick up a pizza the other night, and they're like, imagine Netflix but for bongs. So you pay $20. It's called Smoke It Again. It's $25 a month, and you can go in and you just bring your dirty piece. They clean it, and you pick out another piece and take it home. Oh. It's and you're taking home some herps. I was saying you could call it herps and terps.
Oh. That's not Netflix. That's Blockbuster.
Yeah, big time Blockbuster. Yeah.
Oh, that's just gross.
The Hurtbuster show. Yeah, no. Yeah, that sounds rough. But
dude, that's bad. Not good.
It's good to have you guys on. It's good to have you guys on.
You guys were great, by the way.
We still have a little bit of time, but at the same time, I don't know what you guys want to. If you guys want to do any more Kumbaya on this, or we have any more rips. We got some rips. We can rip on Pinsky, both of us. Can we talk about the time when he Can we talk about when Pinsky received the?
You know what? I can't rip on Pinsky. He came correct at the beginning of this interview. I had forgot about Scotty and shit. That dude was a good dude. And he just reminded me about the whole Irving Plaza. It's really sad how much I've forgotten in my life that's epic, let alone the stuff I remember. But normally I'd like to rip on Pinsky, but today he's kind of
No, we love Pinsky. We love you, man, and we love the fact that we can rip on you, and we appreciate everything you've done for the industry. And now we're going to rip on you.
I just need more material. That's all.
Yeah,
all I want.
Pretty much done.
I just need more photos, but it's come on, you've been lame. He hasn't put out nothing. He's kind of gone. He's gone.
What do you mean? He did an Instagram the other day of
him on
a motorcycle.
I already gave a hint of what I'm going to do in the beginning of the show. I already thought of it. I was oh, yeah, I can do that one. So I'm going to do one tonight.
All right.
So it'll be out there.
Sweet.
Ready for you, Pinsky. I got one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so hopefully you guys will cross paths. You guys are on West Coast, East Coast now, though, right? Everyone's on. You're still on the West Coast? AJ?
Yeah, I'm West Coast now.
You're never going home. You're that's it. Can't hang anymore. You're all soft. That's what happens. People, they don't want. They're I'm never going home.
I don't know how to be abrasive anymore.
I know. You're going to be hardly asshole Joe anymore. Now everyone's going to be he was kind of cool. He was kind of nice. I don't know. That guy doesn't make such a douche.
A bullet would go right through my head.
No.
Oh, not the bro. Luckily, the bro.
Hard-headed saved his life.
So many bong hits. I'm telling you, it thickened it up.
Oh, laugh now, Pinsky. Wait till you see tomorrow, though, brother.
Oh, don't you worry, Pinsky. I've got you covered. But yeah, it's amazing that you're still fucking. That's like you said. There was a reason why that all fucking went down like it did.
Things went down you can't understand, but I guess
That's
it's
right,
time you
time
did.
You will. Right. As I live by Grateful Dead lyrics, as funny as people think.
Oh, we probably shared a lot of the same space over the years. The bus came by for me April 2nd, 1989, Pittsburgh Civic Arena, and then about 150 shows later, bro. So we were there.
I was there 87, 88. 88, I went to SPAC, Saratoga.
Yep. No, I didn't get on until 89, but I did the Europe tour in 90, and that was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I didn't get to do that. I did the last Brent shows, and then I didn't get to go to Europe.
Brent's last shows that summer of 90, right? Yep.
Yeah,
summer
Tinley Park.
Yep. And then I went to Amsterdam, and I wound up seeing some guy named Jack Harrer speak at Homegrown Fantasy, and little did I know, find out 30 years later, that it was this scallywag who walked him to the show, eating mushrooms every corner that they got to, which is why
he was eating acid. He was eating acid. He was like, "You want some acid?" I was like,
"Him and Ed Rosenthal used to sit in front of us at shows, and I'd watch him just sit there puffing. I'd be laughing."
Oh, I got to return his call. In fact, he called me all day yesterday. Hi, Ed, if you're listening. Love you, brother.
Ed's trying to call you and you're not answering?
No,
Wow, you're big time, bro. You're like, whatever.
No.
Whatever, Ed.
I'm working. I'm working on a big deal in Washington right now, and hopefully I'll get that across the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Washington State, baby. Love your rules and regs. Love them. Hate them. Love them. I don't know. What were we talking about? AJ and the Bro coming out with a new strain, right? You heard it here first.
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ.
He's pushing this hard, bro.
Yeah, he
he's,
is.
like, he's really pushing this hard.
Kumbaya.
That's the name of the strain. We got it. Kumbaya.
Kumbaya.
Kumbaya. That is the strain.
Kumbaya
Kumbaya.
diesel.
Kumbaya sour is what it's going to be. It's gonna
Sour Kumbaya.
Is it the Kumbaya cut?
You're going to change the name to Our Diesel.
Oh.
There you go.
I like that one now. Yeah.
Yeah. I like Kumbaya, bro. I'm telling you, that's the shit. It's going down. That's
going
the
down.
ultimate collab.
Yeah.
Our
Oh, man, you know, it takes a village sometimes.
That's that kumbaya shit, son.
That's right.
I
That's
like
right.
it.
Well, cool. I think we solved some people's sort of curiosity, because the thing is, at the end of the day, like we said, it wasn't really a fight. Everyone kind of agreed on it, but it's just a matter of everyone being like, kind of like, all right, now everyone's getting kind of fucked in the long run as far as like the reality when like. Unless you guys are trademarking it and trying to fight people, which is where it turns all uglier than ugly, and it's kind of out of everybody's hands at this point because it's worldwide. You know what I mean? So
I trademarked that strain. That's mine now.
whoever trademarks is a douche, basically. so like, and you know it'll be none of you guys because it'll be
I think
somebody.
someone has the trademark.
Oh, I bet, but
Oh,
no one
fuck 'em.
if they're enforcing it, they're a douche. You know what I mean? Because you can have a trademark on anything you want. It's just about enforcement, and that's kind of like, you know. The reality of it. Even like cheese. Even like
you
the
have
cheese.
the trademark?
Somebody's got
No?
it.
No, you don't
I
have
thought you had it.
See,
I
look,
won't say who.
Yeah, somebody has it,
Say who?
but it's about a matter of.
is it Pinsky?
Pinsky has it. Pinsky.
He's got it.
He was the smart one.
Motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
While he was taping fucking shows, he was sitting over there.
And there's already
Joe,
votes
does
for...
your friend from Vermont have it, Joe?
Careful, don't say
What's that?
surfer. Oh, God. Oh, no.
What happened? It didn't say sills.
No, don't say surfer. Don't say Vermont.
You
don't-
said it.
I said... Oh, shit.
You said it.
No,
Oh,
I'm
man.
sitting in central Vermont. What's wrong with Vermont?
No.
Do they surf in Vermont?
No, it's not a very high
Okay.
hot surf.
So
man.
just...
They surf the mountains on snowboards.
Okay, touche.
Could be counted. Could be counted.
All right.
Well, cool. Like I said, I think everybody kind of, like we said, agreed that now we know, it was a
So I
it
just
was a
want to
mistake.
thank you. I've
Two
been in
mistakes.
the hospital the last couple of days, and I'm still a little sick. Thanks for bearing with me and my nasal problems here, but I figure we get it done now than later.
Yeah. Well, now you what you said you're only eating right now. You can't smoke. Or yeah.
I've been eating edibles. I just started smoking during this interview, of course.
Perfect.
When I hear Adam's voice, I get like in a trance and I just start puffing.
Oh, that's what it does.
Welcome to the club.
Causes mass consumption of cannabis.
Well, that's better. Wasn't there some talk show years ago that when she spoke on the air, people used to say they get seizures? They did a Seinfeld episode about
Oh
it.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Adam's just the other way. He talks, you have to smoke.
Smoke now.
Dig it.
Cool.
Well,
cool.
I hope you feel closer to the truth.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you for answering the call. Glad we could fucking make it happen. And anytime, I'm sure we'll be crossing paths soon. And maybe we will do this. Maybe this collab will go down. Maybe
No,
it'll
it
be-
has to go down.
Are
Come
we
on,
get-
give me a
hey, are we
break.
getting a Dunn stock?
Get the financing.
Yeah. Let's get it going.
Are we getting a Dunn stock this year in June?
I think so. Yeah, we'll be the hood stock.
I heard
But now it did.
Mr. Willie said that he thought it was going to happen.
Oh, Willie's partying no matter what. Willie Waldman is ready for.
Yo, I'm down. Where
He's
we
ready
going,
for my
Willie?
birthday in like it was.
I've been ready for 6 months. I forgot it was so late.
I guess in June. It is in June.
That was
guys.
epic.
He's like, it's coming. So yeah. Thanks. Hopefully, yeah. Maybe for Hoodstock 2, we'll get the AJ bro.
Yeah.
The moment. The moment. Oh. It'll be like you guys can run through the field of cannabis. It'll be great. It's gonna be. We'll make a video.
It'll be in slow-mo.
Slow-mo, of course.
Yeah.
Fucking of course. We have super
Big
high
hug.
hugs. Yeah.
You know.
It's going
yeah.
down. It's going down. Thank you guys. And
All right, thank you.
Anytime.
we'll chat
All
soon.
right. Take care, fellas.
Peace out, my friend.
All right, you too.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, guys.
All right, man. Take care, Keith. Thanks for
You're
joining us.
gonna open nuts on the air?
I'm open nuts. I'm going nuts now. I'm getting rats.
So wait, we gotta thank them then.
But I
So
can't
this
eat
is
them.
numb nuts.
I'm gonna end up eating too many
Where's
of them.
the
But
camera?
Numb nuts.
Numb nuts.
200 milligrams of CBD in there.
Yep. Check it out right there.
They got a little spice to them too, like a little, like in the very back of them.
yeah, I can't. Well, I can't eat them on the air yet. I just gotta.
What?
I'm
Chop,
getting
chop,
them ready.
chop, chop.
It sounds pretty sad. It sounds pretty sad. But yeah, thanks for joining us, and
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
I think the show was fucking on point.
man.
Sour J, bro. See, there you go. There's strain names coming out
Well,
already.
that we have to have a vote for the name. A whole bunch of. We can turn this into a nice big contest.
Yeah, the brogy sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
brogies.
still like double dongle diesel.
Double dongle diesel. Our double dongle diesel.
Yes, that sounds terrible.
Well, also when you said graphics,
What?
it has to. We have to smoke it out of old graphics bongs.
Oh yeah.
I
I do have a bunch
Campbell
of them
soup
still
can.
in Amsterdam. I have them in the storage thing. They're all
No shit.
That's funny.
stacks of dirty because I didn't bring anything back here. And there's a shitload of glass in there somewhere in this big pile that's like.
Wait, no. I saw that on Storage Wars Amsterdam. Somebody bought your locker, man.
No, it's been but no one's bought it, but it's been pillaged a few times. I've noticed.
Sure
I've gone
it
in there and
has.
I've been like, wow, because everyone's had kids and the kids have grown up and they've been like, hey, look at Adam left a snow cone machine and a fucking all sorts of cool shit. Like, oh look, records and record players and snow cone machines and bongs and knives and things that is like didn't bring back. I was like, I'll probably leave that.
Yeah,
leave
probably stuff that doesn't play well at customs going through JFK.
that.
No.
No. So yeah, there you go. Sour diesel.
Awesome.
Bunch of kids. Like we said, like a bunch of kids going, holy shit, we got something hot. And that's kind of why, and the funny part was it's somebody grew something, had some seeds, somebody grew something, had some seeds from those, of those seeds, then somebody grew those, and then boom, there it goes.
And somebody loved it enough to say, I want to grow more of this, and grew more of it. And somebody said, I love what you're growing, I'd like to grow that too. And they grew that too, and now we can all kumbaya again.
And I didn't put this up first, but I think I'll send it over to him.
What?
What?
What
are we
happened?
doing?
Well, we got 5 minutes left. We can do something.
No, that's fine.
I'm just sending you a photo, bro.
Now I gotta do work.
Well, yeah,
Get out,
sometimes
Lou.
a show you got to do a tiny bit of work.
Get out Noisy Cricket. Take a dab.
Oh, man. Let's see. Hold on.
Screen keeps going black.
He's trying to do stuff now.
Yeah.
When
There
he does stuff, things like that happen. Screens go black.
This is Adam Dunn, how not to end the show on the high note. Drag it out a little bit more and let
this
it
is
get a little fuzzy. And
No, we aren't
We could have
dragging-
George Costanza it.
I'm
Everyone was
I'm
like,
gonna show.
woo, woo, rah, rah. We
I'm
could
going
have
to
done.
show a photo of confirmed photo going to him right now. He's going to post it up. That's the seed.
All right.
That's the one.
That's the cut right there?
No, that's the seed.
That's the seed?
That's the seed. That
That's
became-
the original
Yeah.
sour diesel.
And so it's one of those things
Oh,
where.
you texted it to me?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's
Is that the
low.
worst thing to do? Oh, should I face of swag it?
No, I
Oh,
can figure
God.
it out.
Oh man, I could have done face of swag.
So just in case, for those of you still out there, come on, pick the phone up, give Breckenridge Organic Therapy a call, and hassle them there to say you heard about
Someone
them
called.
here. Good.
They asked for the number, and I got it.
Tell them they should be sponsoring the show.
Okay.
And
Hold on. I can
that's
do it right
that.
now.
No, I got it right now. I already
we
got
got
it.
it.
I already got it.
The Action Diesel. That'd be a good one.
Oh, Vin.
Everyone send in your names.
Okay, that's a Polaroid.
Ooh.
That's a Polaroid right there.
Look at that. And that's another thing. That's how we used to have to take photos back then. Because if you took a photo on anything that you had to go to the photo mat for,
Yeah.
you were somed. I mean, I'm sorry, you were you were
Is that what's
fucked.
happened? Is that what happened to him? Photos?
You know the whole Soma story. I mean, come on.
No, I don't actually. Is that what happened in Oregon? Because I know.
Yeah, he fucking somebody. They got really cocky. They
Yeah.
took a whole bunch of photos.
Oh,
They went to the photomat. They figured, we'll take the long route home. Nobody will follow us. They got followed.
Nice.
They all got busted. I showed up one day to go buy some weed. The next day, the house is completely
yeah. I
empty.
mean, you
the
told the
doors
story,
open.
but-
Yeah, fuck. And that's what Photo Hut killed the
Yeah.
canister.
Vanity, bro. Vanity. Nowadays, it's all about that. But anyway, that's the photo right there. Booyah.
That is sick.
Polaroid, original plant, growing in the original house, even in people who were there should be able to recognize. Be like, yep. It's kind of weird like that, too, where if you know something like that from, like, you'd be like streets in Amsterdam are like that, too, where, like, if you don't know Amsterdam, you're like, I don't know. But if you've been there and lived there, you're like, yeah, that's fucking Lijnbaansgracht and fucking Westerstraat. Boom. Like, you just see it, even though it's, like, tiniest detail in that house. That probably the way that wire hangs, the way that thing is.
Oh, see, look, Action Dave took that shot. There we go.
Yeah.
Thanks for the photo, Dave.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
So yeah, it's a pretty awesome show. And on top of that, we're gonna fucking break down, like I said, Romulan, which again, that's a pretty much proven thing where these guys held on to it and produced it, held on to it, and fucking work into it, and the super old school. So that'll be cool, and it'll help your buddy with his Catpiss Romulan, dude. I can't believe it. We're doing it all for you. Whatever your friend grows, we're gonna figure it out.
Romulan was popular here in like the 2000s when Med first came on here. It was you found it in a lot. I found it in some Loveland dispensaries, but I'm not seeing it anywhere right now. So
the bomb sacks, the GMO cross, and that I've seen only like he brought me some testers, so I got to check it out, and that's gonna be James Loud, who has more experience with that. Done Deal Deals.
Done Deal Diesel. Triple D. Done Deal Diesel.
Oh yeah, that's coming. That's coming.
Yes,
that is coming for sure. Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Aloha.
So thanks to Dave for freezing his balls off. Look at him; he looks like fucking
come on,
South
it's
Park
fucking
character or
freezing
something.
in here.
Dude, my feet are about to fall off.
Right, okay, you're closer to the open door there.
We're not
I
even
can't believe
smoking.
you did
can
it.
shut it. You can shut it.
No, let's go for it.
You're like,
No, he just likes watching me fucking shiver.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I'm into it.
No, it's really cold. If you put a humidifier on in here, it would snow in
that
this
thing's
room.
off, and I'm all right. Well, we're done. It's a done deal here. I want to give a shout out to guys and girls in the chat gang for hanging in there. It was probably more than ever, I'm sure. Shout out to AJ for letting us give him a call. Shout out to the bro, of course, for breaking it down. Thanks for the bro's skull for deflecting the 38 back in the day. Which
Hard-headed. Paid off.
Amazing luck.
What the fuck?
And wasn't it interesting? I was talking just about how East Coast people had such thick skulls. See?
Right?
I swear it was made perfect sense to me right
Thick
there.
skulls and shitty hollow point rounds.
If you were like from Cali, it would have just gone pow. No, but in general, thanks for fucking making shit happen. And as you see, little things can turn into big things. I use sour diesel as an example all the time to people where it's like, just keep growing seeds, because when you have seeds, you have the chance to be the next guy with the next fucking sour, or the next fucking OG, or the next strain that fucking turns heads. Amazingly enough, we all get like more spoiled by the fucking year, and everybody keeps going like, it's not gassy enough or whatever. But there's so much variances, and there's so many different things out there, and there's so many people growing now that it's like, either get your own thing going on, which is the best way to do it, because then you really fucking see what's happening, or at least pop the seeds that you're already sitting on, because I know everybody's sitting on a shitload of seeds, and fucking get it out there.
Shut the fuck up or pop your garden. Let's go. Get it out there.
Peace, guys.
Thank you.
Did
we shout everybody?
Little Nick? Yeah,
Huh?
everybody's done. And
Say hi to Cece.
And mom,
Hi,
of
Heather.
course, and mom down at the farm. And all that good stuff.
You can check out my podcast at sofabab.com.
Yeah.
No,
we
fuck
do it
that.
every Monday.
Don't-
We're terrible.
Don't do that.
No,
It is really
that's
bad.
there's a good show.
I've watched it.
No, we're
actually.
bad.
No, you're good. I watched
No,
it.
we're bad.
Yeah. Gender balanced on the show too.
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, well
Sorta.
they've got
We got a gal on
They got
the
a
show
gal
now.
on the
We
show.
have none.
a woman on the show,
We
not a
had
gal.
we haven't
Sorry.
had since Murphy Murray.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That was like the
Well,
one.
Pinsky was on today.
Oh, Pinsky, that he made up for all of it.
there
He
we
made up his mangina made up for it all.
No, it's not mangina anymore. It's called a bussy.
Pussy boy. All right. Well, anyway, I already got the fucking graphics figured out, so keep your eyes out. Keep your eyes out for the newest Pinsky meme coming out soon.
You're a good sport, Pinsky.
No, he's gonna break one.
You're
day.
gonna cry tomorrow, though.
He's gonna crack one day. I'm gonna crack him. Gonna crack that motherfucker. So,
Right.
oh yeah, go to pinskysmybitch.com.
Pinskysmybitch.com.
Check it out.
Pinskysmybitch.com.
Pinskys
Hold on.
my
Pinskysmybitch.com.
Perfect. All right. Peace, guys.
Peace.
Practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden.
This is a special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimedia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.